What up, though, One Pride? This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, a podcast where One Pride goes worldwide. My name is Anthony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined this evening by Ryan McCluskey, which can only mean one thing. It is time for your weekly dose of college knowledge. Yes, it is the college football podcast, spring training, and as advertised, a lot of stuff going on about the NFL draft at the minute. It's easy to get too saturated just talking about the draft all the time, again and again and again. So what we thought we are going to do, and we did this last year as well, so we're going to have 1 week dedicated to dropping back into the collegiate ranks for a week and chatting about a few new, fresh things for a little while. And of course, spring training is this time of year, depending on the team. Obviously, with there been 136 teams in the FBS this year, spring training has started already for some. Some are already halfway through it. Some are just about to start it. But we're going to talk about some of the stories emanating from there, some of the big questions that need to be answered going into this, because it's all to do with the 2025 season, of course, going into next year's draft. But before we do, we'll welcome Ryan in. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Like you say, it's yeah. I've been looking up at the news. There's a lot of things going on in college football. But yeah, like I say, it's nice to take a breather from mock drafts and the free agency and the draft season.
Exactly. It is a long process. Obviously, we're now in mid-March, going into late March. This stuff started off in January. We're already 2 months in. Got 35 days until the draft now. So yeah, that's going to be talk a little bit of college ball this evening. So, like Ryan said, we've got some news and bits to go through. And then we're just going to go down into it. We're going to talk about some camp battles we've got on, questions that need answering, all this good stuff. But of course, we're here at your disposal. So if you do have any draft questions, any other questions you want answering, then just put them in and we'll answer them as the evening goes along. Let's just get all the housekeeping stuff out the way first when I can find the document, because I've got a billion screens open. The Royal Lines UK Discord, if you want in on that, just let us know. We will fire you across a link to that main podcast. This week we talked about safeties in the NFL draft. We did safety prospects. So if you haven't checked that out yet, do please go and do so. A lot of underrated talent in that class this year. There is the first of our prospect videos up on YouTube as well. I did all about wide receiver Ricky White out of UNLV, did some tape watching for him. So if you've not checked that out yet and you want to learn a little bit more about one of the less heralded wide receiver prospects in this year's draft, do go check it out. He is a really fun player. I promise you that. And we've got the second part of that series coming out soon. I filmed it yesterday. We'll be doing Boston College Edge, Donovan Iziruaku, so keep an eye out for that one as well. Don't forget to like and sub to everything, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, all that good sort of stuff. We really appreciate all of you and your support. We're part of Lions Nation Unite as well, so do go give them a follow too. We're affiliated on Twitch, we're monetized on YouTube, we've got a tip jar, all that good sort of stuff. So if you want to help us that way, great. But first and foremost, we just love having you all in the building, chatting ball, and we've got the feedback form as well. So if you any comments, anything about the show, you can fill that in. We shall take all that on board. Give a shout out to everyone who's in the building. Brent DeWitt is in the building. Mike the Marine is in the building. Danny Mack is in the building. Brent going, afternoon, lads. For your information, the freshman wide receiver at Michigan had a highlight reel first practice. Jamar Browder, 6'5", high points the ball. Not sure about the 40 time, but Bryce to Jamar. Thank you, Brent. Brent loves to take his shots at me. Do you know which program you flipped him from to get him to Michigan? That's right, NC State. So thanks a lot for that. That would have been our Kevin Conception replacement this year, but no, you just had to go and ruin it, you damn Wolverines. So thanks a lot for reminding me about that, Brent. I don't like him. Um, Mike the Ring goes, howdy, Road Lines UK. Hope you're doing well, Gunny. Danny says evening, Ant and Rye as well. Good to have you all in. As if you have any questions as the evening goes on, just let us know. Right. Before we go into all the spring training stuff today, would you say there was any other news or anything you wanna have a chat about before we get into spring training, Rye?
No, but I saw the news about Colorado proposing that for the first time they may have where teams are cancelling spring games, they might welcome scrimmages against other teams, which is
Yeah.
pretty much unheard of at college level. Like I say, having actual pre-season game supposed to be in limits. I'm definitely all for that. If Dion goes and does that, I think that's a great move.
Yeah, you're right. So, as Rice says, that's following on the news. Dion wants intra team scrimmages. So, like NFL teams have started doing for training before preseason games and stuff like that. I couldn't quite get on board with that. And there's been a ton of teams who want to take him up on this. I know there was a couple of HBCU schools who wanted to have a go. I think was it UAB I've seen maybe want to have a try. There's a couple of Sunbelt teams that have kind of mentioned it as well. I don't know. Do you feel like that's maybe a future thing we might see more of? Because NFL teams seem to be adopting it more now. Like the Lions were trailblazers in this aspect. We were one of the first teams to start doing it, but you see now more and more a week of scrimmages before your preseason game with them to gain familiarity. I don't know. I feel like it might work quite well in college football.
Yeah, I'm all for joint camps, couple of days of practice. Like I say, then you have a mini scrimmage, like you say, pads, maybe pads on without helmets, like I say, keep it so don't want to risk anybody. But it gives you a chance to rotate in guys. Like I say, you don't have to play any of your starters really. It could be a lot of your depth players and your transfer portal guys. For me, everyone's saying like, oh, like but the spring portal, like they'll be like trying to poach each other. Like I think it's the opposite. Like I said, I think really near these guys, they need to gel in pretty quickly. And just because they get on the field, like I said, as well, you don't have to open them to the public. Realistically, these from I wouldn't have anyone there. I wouldn't have any fans, like I say. I'd just film it, have all the coaches there, and just say, yeah. And for me, yeah, I'd probably not do it against a rival. I won't have a Big 12 side. Like you say, I won't have a divisional rival because I won't want them to be, well, listening to a player call, if I'm honest, or filming it. But someone outside the conference you're not likely to meet, or Power Five, yeah, I think it's great because anything they see really, well, it's not going to hurt you later in the season. They're not going to share this with anybody, and it's a good chance for coaches and players to build a good reputation.
I mean, yeah, I get you. You like you wouldn't want Michigan and Michigan State like fending off, would you? Because you'd end up with like a 200 man in Royal Rumble with them all trying to kill each other. So, but yeah, I think this could be a good opportunity, especially for SCS teams and Group of Five teams. If they scrimmage against a Power Four team, I mean, that would be a good week of training, right? Far superior level of opposition. You can see what your guys are capable of. I think, that could certainly benefit them. And like you say, for the big teams, like all the true freshmen, the second stringers, the third stringers, the red shirts, all those guys, it benefits them as well. It seems for me to have a two-way benefit here.
Yeah. Spring games, they're great, but your own offense against going against your own defense can only learn so much. Like those a lot of those defensive guys know the play calls, and your offensive guys know what the defenders are like, and they kind of can neutralize each other. But you go up against, like, say, a somewhat unknown entity, and then you can kind of open the playbook up, really. Like I say, just do like I say, no one touches the quarterback, just put a red jersey on them. Like I say, if they breathe on them, it's a sack. Like you can do it safe, you can do it practice. There should be other than non-contact injuries, really, you should be able to keep it pretty clean.
Oh, absolutely, you can indeed. Spirit of Detroit podcast's in the building. Thanks for dropping in with us there. If you want in-depth prospect profiles that are far greater than what we do, go check Lamar out. He's great with those. So good to see you in the building, Spirit of Detroit. Yeah. So I think any other newsworthy bits? Obviously, two more Georgia players thrown in the slammer for driving accidents. Is there at some point now going to be have to a thing with Georgia? Like, there's so many of their players getting arrested for. This feels like grooms for sanctions or something at this point because I couldn't name off the top of my head how many guys they've had arrested these last few years for all these incidences. But you feel like they've got to step in somewhere. That's another two who've been suspended now. There were must have been what, three or four last year before that. It feels like someone's going to have to step in sooner rather than later and try and rein this in.
Yeah. Even not at a Georgia level, it feels like an NCAA level that they really don't seem to care about. Like, say, the NFLPA, they meet all the NFL players, don't they, before the seasons? They tell them about disciplines and rule changes and, like, say, what'll do this. But it doesn't seem like the NCAA really cares at the collegiate level to tell players, like, say, or to sit down with a whole program and just say, look, it's not our business what you do off campus, but if you go and get arrested, it then becomes our business. And if your
Mm.
team won't disappoint you, because like I said, it seems like guys like say obviously back in the day, Saban and Kirby Smart, It feels like they're happy to look the other way. It
Hmm.
feels like they really, as long as they're not starters, like it feels like they're not too bothered about what they get up to. They clearly don't feel like there's any fear or like they're going to get in any trouble, or there's not to deter them being silly and reckless off camp or even on campus. We've seen a lot of stuff. So yeah, these days it just feels like a college place. It's kind of lawless. They don't
Hmm.
feel many repercussions for a lot of crimes in general and the rumors. So yeah, I say you can't get out like say you breathe, you get fined by the NFL.
Hmm.
You do anything and you're losing a paycheck, but there's not to hold against them because they're not paid. They're not pros, they're students. It just feels like, yeah, they need to find ways to keep them in line a little bit better. It's got to start with the school as well. I
Yeah.
don't know what they teach them, like say, about one conduct with women and girls on campus and also driving. Like, honestly, I might put these kids through refreshing driving courses, like say, or like put them on a bus if you can't trust them to drive. Give them a
Hmm.
chaperone, like say, or put someone like responsible for what happens, it's on you. Like, yeah. We see
Especially
more and more of driving offences.
especially all the stuff that's going on with Kyron Lacey at the minute. Like more than anybody, like you'd think that would be the poster for come on, just
Yeah.
you can derail your entire career here. Let's
You saw
just take
James
it
Harden, you saw
easy.
Henry Ruggs, like say,
Yeah.
incarcerated, like say, for a driving offence that unfortunately led to a devastating incident. They don't learn.
No.
They really are a mixture of fearless and stupid.
Hmm. And then some people are just going to hold this against them for life. We see that now with like a lot of prospects coming through the draft, and you hear Lions fans go, "No, don't want anything to do with those. They've got this one little mark against them from years ago, or they've heard rumor, they've heard hearsay, and everyone's saying this, everyone's saying that. It can get held against you for years, so we don't want to see that." But yeah, it's unfortunate thing there. Anyhow, let's move on to what we're all about today. So, as I say, we're going to be chatting about spring training. There is a lot going on. Like I say, some practices have started, some have not. But we're going to go through some of the questions that get imposed for some of the teams going into the season, some of the early comings back on what's been going on during some of these scrimmages for the teams that let people in anyhow. So. In this week particular, Ryan has been researching three ways, and I've been looking at some of the stories coming out of some of the early scrimmages. I should quantify Ryan's been looking at three-way quarterback battles, not the other ones you may have been thinking of. But yeah, I think we start the chat about spring training, right? But I think that is one of the biggest questions this year. So many big programs are replacing quarterbacks this year. Alabama replacing quarterbacks, Michigan replacing quarterback, Ohio State replacing quarterback, Oregon replacing quarterback. A lot of these big programs who've been up to level. There's not many teams returning starters this year, and then there's quite a few of these teams where there are no designated heirs. There are legitimate battles. There's a lot of indecision going forward about who's going to play here. That seems to me to be like the overriding story going into spring training more so than a lot of other positions. It's the quarterbacks this year.
Yeah. Like I say, I picked three, but I must have had a look at 10, 15, just high profile battles, teams that were successful in recent years. And it feels like for some of them, the gravy train has kind of derailed where they knew their succession plan was already there. It's not there. Or from what I see or what I'm reading, like say on SI or local beat papers, right now it's not there and it's an open battle. And that has its benefits and it also has a lot of drawbacks. It's great to have a three-way battle, but it's also like, at what point do you name a starter? I've read some of them say like, we don't know if they'll name a starter until week before week one. And that's not, you don't want that. I don't like limbo. I wouldn't want that as a head coach going in 7 days before my game. I don't know who to start because that's where you get to a place like, oh, I've played all three of them within 6 weeks.
Hmm. No, absolutely, you're right. So I'm not going to go through these in any particular order. We'll sort of bounce between us, but I want to start down in Oklahoma. to start with, and this is also talk about one of your favorite quarterbacks because he needs love going into next year. But Oklahoma, as we all know, last year, very poor season by their standards, absolutely killed by injuries. Pretty much every single wide receiver on the roster, the top five of them were hurt. It meant Jackson Arnold had nobody to throw the ball to, which meant he got absolutely murked. That offense was just one of the worst in the FBS, and this is a program really that's reeling off a terrible year. And the reason it caught my attention is their injury report came out to start spring training this year. They got 9 players out of spring training before it's even started. 4 of them are starters on their team. They're not revealing who, but what was a terrible injury look for them last year is carrying on through to this season. And at least 5 of these, they've said, are labrum injuries to do with your shoulder and bits like that. And they're saying that they're getting really critical over, the healthcare teams there, the conditioning, the fitness units, and that, which is bad for them, but it's not great for the new quarterback that's going there, right? Who's potentially he could be one of the best in the nation next year. He could be one of the next guys right at the top of the NFL draft. He could be the next guy coming out of Washington State formerly who's at the top of the draft. But John Mattia is going to be the new guy down there. But he's gone with his offensive coordinator, Ben Arbuckle, who's gone down there as well as offensive coordinator. But this is a program that's been racked by injuries, and this feels for him like it's going to be a very difficult season. But at the same point, he's putting himself in a position potentially where he can go there, turn that program round, and going into his 4th year, we could be hearing his name in a draft next year, and he is, for all intents and purposes. I think you probably feel the same. He is one of the best prospects next year, and this is going to be a really, really tough test for him.
Yeah. When I saw it first, I was looked at it and thought, does he go there if his offensive coordinator doesn't go there? Because he was one of the late guys as well. Like I say, he mulled his options over for quite a while. A lot of the vacancies kind of were taken. For me, I looked at him, I thought he's one of the better options in the portal. Like I said, a fantastic year at Wazoo, great weapons, good build, dual threat, and he's got a good amount of eligibility, which kind of makes the perfect recipe for a guy you go after. Like I say, the Sooners, it was a mess last year. Like I say, on the field, off the field, not a lot went right for them. And whoever was under centre, which frankly changed quite a bit, they always felt like they were kind of at a disadvantage and they were always going to struggle. And yeah, I say it feels like a big year for them, but it felt like the last couple of years have all been big for them. It's been pretty barren in Norman for what feels like quite a while now. Despite producing a lot of talent at college level, it's not materialized, has it? It's not resulted in anything. They really are a team that has fallen down its fortunes. And then, yeah, loads of players were over by injury. And then you look at this now report and like a lot of players injured again. And you have to raise questions about what are the guys doing in between seasons? How many of them left last season with injury? Are these new? How are they conditioning themselves? How are they looking after themselves? Like I say, what's happening with the medical, the training staff, the weight room, the diet? Like I say, you have this many injuries on spring camp. It feels like it's a bad omen for the sign. And ultimately, for me, for John Mattia, what I want is I don't care about the Sooners succeeding. If he goes out there and balls and the team sucks, do you know what? No skin off my nose, John. No skin off yours either. You want to make a name for yourself in the next draft cycle, and you don't need the team to do that for you. You can go out there, put on a clinic, do really well, and go 7-5 because your defense sucked or all like that. Then yeah, it won't come down on him. I'm very high on him. I wish he'd have gone somewhere better. I wish he'd have not fought an offensive coordinator, but some guys they just do that. It just feels these days it's very common to follow a familiar face that knows you to put you in a situation to win. So I can't fault him for that.
No, the attitude is perfect, right? Because, like I say, Norman, it's a place where they've underachieved for years. Like it's like you was going to Texas, when he's brought them success there at his first time. Like you can be a cult hero
I think
sooner
he could have
rather
gone to
than
better
later.
scenarios,
For
but maybe he
now,
wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. Maybe it wouldn't have been as a
no.
challenge. It's certainly a challenge. I'll give him that.
So you've only got 1 year as a start. So he was basically a redshirt sophomore last year, or redshirt junior, sorry, last year. So you've still got plenty of eligibility left if you want to. You're still relatively young in the grand scheme of things. So last year was his first starting year. 3,136 passing yards, 65% completion for a first-time starter ain't bad, 29 touchdowns, just 7 interceptions. Again, for what is essentially your first year, playing in an air raid system as well, where generally the ball is put in harm's way a lot. It's really good stats for him. But just to sort of give you a flavor of the situation he's put himself in. So I've looked through today, and they've released an initial depth chart of what their offensive line's going to look like next year. Let me just quickly go through it for you. So the left tackle is slated to be Jacob Sexton. He's 6 foot, 322 pounds. He's a junior, but he's one of these guys. He's played all over. He's played 400 snaps at left tackle, 280 at left guard, 312 at right tackle. They've moved him all over because of injuries, etc. The left guard's slated to be Eddie Pierre-Louis. He's 6'3", 305. He's a redshirt freshman, only ever played 65 snaps before. The center's Troy Everett. He's 6'3", 308 pounds. He's a senior. He's going into his fourth year. He's only played 1,200 snaps at center, but he's been the starter for a year now. But he gave up 4 sacks last year. The right guard. Now, this is a big payoff for any of you who listen to the show regularly and have done for years now. The right guard is Fabichi Nwewu. And if you're thinking that name's familiar, 2 years ago, he was in my team to watch list when he was back at North Texas. He had a massive 2023, got a transfer to them last year. He's 6'4", 339 pounds at the right guard spot, and I'm probably going to be standing for him in a future draft at some point. But yeah, he gave up 4 sacks last year as well, sort of acclimatizing to SEC football. And then the right tackle is Derek Simmons. He's 6'6", 325 pounds. He's a senior. He's a transfer from Western Carolina, where he's played for 2 years, and he's played at Abilene Christian for 1 year. So you look at the line in front of him, right? You got a left tackle who's been all over the place, a redshirt freshman left guard. You've got an FCS transfer at right tackle. You've got a second-year Group of 5 player at right guard, and you've got a center who's experienced, but not the most experienced in the books, and gave up a bunch of sacks last year. And then to compile this further in spring training, they've lost a lot of their receivers because they've been injured. The 2 that did come back are injured currently. And the guy who's been standing out most for them is a guy by the name of Giovanni Gibson. He's 6'3", 215 pounds. He is a transfer from Arkansas Pine Bluff, which is a HBCU school down in the FCS. So he's had a real rise. He started at Arkansas Monticello in Division 2. Then he got a transfer to Arkansas Pine Bluff in Division 1 at the FCS level. Now he's at Oklahoma. He's coming off a 1,200-yard season with 9 touchdowns, over 17 yards per reception. But you've got a very ickety offensive line in front of you, and your best, target so far is an FCS transfer. Like, he's not made it easy for himself at all.
Yeah. The line, like I said, there's no chemistry. An offensive line is 5 people, but it needs to work as one. It's got to be a link. They've all got to be on the same page. And you're taking guys, like you say, have not played at the level, have played at the level and have struggled, have moved all over and have not played at one position and been settled. And then your most experienced guy is pretty much your centre. And even then, 1,200 snaps is barely less than a season's worth, really, of most starters. So it's a real, like, licorice all sorts line. And yeah, that ultimately will put a tiny percentage of doubt in a QB's mind. If you don't know what your offensive line's going to do, then you're not focusing on the right thing. And then, yeah, they've got a star portal FCS receiver, but he'll have never gone up against the likes of SEC defensive backs that could absolutely school him, and they might be able to just, nullify him. And then the rest of the guys, they might be, mid-season before some of these guys get up and going, or at least like a couple of weeks. It's going to take them a while to get up and running. So, yeah, the line is questionable. The offensive weapons on the outside right now aren't there. So he's just not able to build chemistry with them. That's the thing. He's going to be relying on one guy that is kind of finding his feet. So it could be a real mixed bag for John this year, yeah. But ultimately, that might help his case down the line. If he can make this offense click, and if he can really put this like bunch of merry men together and just keep, like say, at least keep them ticking over, then it'll show that he's able to kind of work with anything, not just all stars.
That's it. It flips both ways. You can go into a bad situation and make it good and get better because of it. You go into a bad situation and flounder. But hopefully he swims. So I say that is John Mattia down at Oklahoma. If you want to get a head start on the next group of QBs coming through, that's where you start because nobody is talking about him right now, but a lot of people will be very soon. Right. Do you want to talk to us about your first three-way quarterback battle you've been looking at? Because there's going to be a lot of these this year, and I know there's an in-state one as well people are already chatting about, but where are you going to start off?
For me, I'm starting with Fighting Irish. So Notre Dame coming off a stellar year. Like I said, they were one of the darlings of the nation. They took a quarterback out of the portal that not a lot of people had much faith in. But Riley Leonard, like I say, took them nearly all the way. Like I say, he was great. He was a leader among men. Like you say, he did the draft stock the world of good, but now they're looking to replace him. So right now, the options in camp are Steve Angeli, CJ Carr, and Kenny Mitchell. So Steve is the experienced guy. 2022 has been with the program. He's featured in multiple games, whether it's been in through injury or he's been the kind of relief guy that comes in late in the second half to kind of see the game out in. So he knows the offense, he knows the coaches, he knows kind of what they expect and what he wants to bring to the offense. He's had the reins before. So he's the one that you'd probably look to, especially like say in scenarios where things weren't going great, he would be an option. You've got then Kenny Mitchell. So he's also been in the program since 2023. He's an existing quarterback on the roster. He's seen as the athletic guy. Like I say, the guy that can throw on the run, that guy that can stretch and extend plays with his legs. But he's always kind of been the clipboard holder. He was the QB3 last year, the kind of guy that's helped getting in the signals and the play calls. He hasn't got any real experience behind him right now. He doesn't come into the season with any momentum. He's not got any real credible playing tape or time. He's kind of been the guy that's learning off the ropes. So he's someone that maybe you want to bring on run plays or designed plays, but it feels like it'd be a bit soon or a bit of a gamble to start him in a game. And then you've got the wild cards. You've got CJ Carr. So he had an elbow injury last year, so he redshirted. He did come in though as a four-star prospect. He was the number six QB in his class in 2024, and he was the 45th player overall nationally, according to 24/7. So he had an elbow injury last year, but at 6'3", 190 pounds, this kid is very highly thought of. They recruited him very highly, and that he's kind of looked at as the guy as the future of the program potentially. May have seen him last year if it wasn't for the injury, maybe later in games. So this three-way battle, it started the camp. So you've got the experienced, savvy veteran that's probably used up most of his eligibility right now. You've got the athletic wild card that's got no real experience but knows the coaches, and then you've got the young phenom, the stud that they highly recruited. They wanted to beat other teams too. That it's coming in cold off the injury, but on paper you'd kind of look at him as to be the face of the franchise. So if I was to predict right now, I'd say to be safe, Marcus Freeman strikes me as the kind of guy that wants to be safe. So Steve Angeli, I expect, would probably start week one. I think you'd go with the savvy veteran option, but I think I only give him a few games. I might obviously they want to get back to like compete for a national title, but they've lost so much talent. I feel like more right now is the you look to the future. I want to bed the new QB in right now. Steve may give me the best chance to make the playoffs, but what's better long term? So I wouldn't be surprised if CJ Carr takes over mid-season, late season, building towards a 2026. Like see that four-star talent. I'd like to think he could push him all the way, but Steve's the safest pair of hands, and if he feels like he's the best option to go with right now, then he may play all year. But I mentioned CJ Carr will be chomping at the bit. Like I say, Kenny just used the opportunity to learn, and if the worst comes to worst, and either an injury, both QBs take a knock, then just be ready to go in whenever called upon.
I think you're right. I think if you ask the average Notre Dame fan, they'd probably want CJ Carr to start right. Like he's the flashy, shiny guy, as you mentioned, and Michigan are gonna have a flashy, shiny guy this year. Ohio State might have a flashy, shiny guy this year. It seems like the fans would want him, but I think you're right. Maybe, Freeman might go for the more experienced group hands. The one good thing though for this group, or for whoever comes in, and unlike Mattia, they've got a hell of a good offensive line in front of them. So, I mean, Charles
Good
Jacob,
receivers.
Yeah. Charles Jagger was meant to be the left tackle last year. He got hurt. Then that freshman Anthony Knapp came in and looked amazing. So they reckon Anthony Knapp might stay at left tackle. You slide Charles Jagger into the left guard position. You got centre Ashton Craig, who's really good. You've got Emil, I think it is Wagner, the right tackle. You've got Jeremiah Love coming back, who's going to be one of the best running backs in the nation. So. This is not a bad situation for the new guy. And for Notre Dame, it's a big turn, isn't it? They've had transfer receivers for years now. Now they'll get one of their own, but I think they're coming into a decent situation offensively. And I believe receiver-wise, a couple of big commits have gone there as well. So they should be in a good spot.
Yeah, I think of the three scenarios I'll talk about, it's the best. Like I say, I think CJ Carr, if you do give him the tickets and you think, do you know what, I'm thinking about 2 or 3 years down the line now, then do you know what? Yeah, like I say, a great line to keep him upright, one of the better backs in the nation, a receiving core that, like I say, you've got some great players. You've got Jane Greathouse, like you say, you've got your crafty little slot guy. You've added some talent in. You've always had success at tight end as well. It feels like that can't conveyor belt should probably keep going with whoever their star guy there. So yeah, it's a good situation to be in, and it's a program on a high. Like you say, living up to last year's expectations will be difficult, but I feel like whoever it is, don't put them under too much pressure. I know you nearly got there, but yeah, like you can't expect that to just. It never happens like that. It'd be a some feat if they were to make it back again that far for the new guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the defense is going to be the tough one for them this year, right? You lose Al Golden as your coordinator. You've lost both your D tackles, Riley Mills, Howard
Kaiser,
Cross. You've
what
lost Jack
Morrison.
Kaiser. You've lost Xavier Watts, Benjamin Morrison. You've got an entire new system there. I think spring training, certainly the big thing for the Irish is going to be getting new players into them spots and to get themselves a new star edge rusher again. Like RJ Oben didn't work in the portal. So as you figure they're going to try and go in-house and build again. But you know, before last year at least, they've always had a star edge rusher, which they didn't have this year. So interesting times there for the Irish. But outside of the quarterback sitch, whoever's going there is going into a great situation. So got to give them kudos for that. Who else have you got? Let's go on to your next one in terms of your three-way quarterback battles.
So my next one, I suppose there's a start. I've named this one. So for me, this one is the Ole Miss Rebels. Now, if you asked people last year what would they want to do, it'd say Austin Simmons. So it's Austin Simmons, AJ Maddox, and Pierce Clarkson. So Austin Simmons has been in the year program now multiple years. He knows Lane Kiffin. He knows his offense. He came in bad weather against the Georgia Bulldogs last year. Went on that big 65-yard touchdown drive when Dart took that I think knock to the shoulder. He's well built. He's strong. It feels like for the last year or two he's been groomed as a starter. I think everyone expects Austin Simmons, but you've still got likes of AJ Maddox. So you've got the smaller guy. You've got he's a hometown kid. He's from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. He was committed to the Aggies, so at Texas A&M, but they decided to flip him and managed to convince him to stay home. So this one, he's very young. He's only 185, 190 pounds. I think for him this year, he needs to just watch the starter, learn, get to the gym room, get a bit of whey protein down him, just work on himself. I think right now it'd be a big ask, like I said, just control the things he can control, learn on the sideline, maybe come in some design players if there are any that Lane Kiffin's got in there for him. And then the third guy is Pierce Clarkson. So this is a portal guy they brought in to compete. He's the Louisville Cardinals. So he doesn't have too much playing experience behind him from his time there, but he's been brought in, I think, to offer a bit of competition. So someone that brought in from an outside kind of option that can bring some new ideas, can come in, kind of help the young guy, but then also push Simmons, who also has been here like 2, 3 years now. So I'd expect so it's Simmons' job to lose. And with great response, well, I say with pressure, like I said, the whole Spider-Man, great responsibility comes. He's filling the shoes of one of the best statistical QBs Ole Miss has ever had in Jackson Dart. So just because he knows and he's been groomed for the job for 2 years doesn't mean it's going to be any actually easy to replace him. As we say, we're going to talk about they've lost so much talent, right? Say, and they're going to have to replace it, but they've lost holes all over the offense. and a lot of guys. So it's been really difficult. And this is a make or break year for Lane Kiffin, I think. Like I say, flattered to deceive last year when, like say, the gift horse was looked in the mouth and expanded playoffs and it fell short. Like I say, Dart's now gone. You're now looking at a new QB battle, even though you've got a somewhat designated starter. Like I say, there's going to be instant pressure on Austin to win the job straight away. He doesn't get any kind of leeway. It's you hit the ground running, you fill Jackson's shoes, and you've got to be the guy that's got to get us over the hump. And I don't like that. I'd hate that. I'd hate to suddenly be the guy that wins the job, and it's like, oh crap, everyone's expecting me to get him to the playoffs now. Like I said, there are no real room for errors. Like I said, you've lost Antoine Wells. Like you say, you've lost guys like that. You've lost Trey Harris. Like you say, you've lost weapons all over. So it's gonna be a real big ask for whoever wins this job.
Absolutely. I've seen him though. Like I've seen some bits of him. Like his arm is huge, isn't it? Like the
Six
throws he
four,
can
210 as
make.
well. Like you say, Austin Simmons looks like an NFL quarterback already.
So they had their first scrimmage training yesterday, and or was it today? I've seen shots from it, and like he's hitting guys at 50, 60 yards in stride. It's like, good God, if this guy is what he's going to all be about, then Old Miss football could potentially have a bright future. But you say you're in the SEC, it's not easy for these guys, and they've had to maintain such losses. Like they've got no running backs coming back from last year. Ulysses Bentley gone. Henry Parrish has gone. I don't know where. It must be in the portal because he's not
Yeah,
out of eligibility. So you've got a point now where I think you've got Logan Diggs there, although I don't think he's played that much for them. And then you've got transfers. I know they got the Akron running back, Jordan Simmons, I think it was in. He's coming off a decent year for them, but obviously Akron, been a poor football team for now. But he's the 200-pound little mini me. But he's a sixth year guy, and he's had 1 year as a starter. Like that room's not going to be good for them. And then it's the defensive line is the other big question for them. You've lost every single starter. No Princely, no JJ Pegues,
no
no
Ivy, no
Walter
Wharton.
Nolan, no Jaden Ivey. Like and all those guys are going to get selected in the draft. Those are four NFL players. Two of them, or one of them's definitely first round. One's a round two guy. Another's probably a round two guy. Pegues is probably the lowest of them, and you could probably get him like 100, something like that. So, like, obviously, if you're Old Miss football next year, that is where you've got to start, right? The defensive line.
Yeah, like I say, the sacks. Yeah, ultimately, who is going to replace the production and the pressure and the leadership? I know people have always said Walter Nolan wasn't easiest to look after and to manage, and he might not always have been the best guy to work with, but the guy was a leader. Like I say, the guy could rally the troops. Like you say, Ivy, Yuma Malin. Like you say, yeah, do you know what? Ole Miss has a type. They do like questionable characters, but when they get on the field and they put their pads and their helmet on sometimes, like kind of all that goes away. Like they do it. They get the job done. Like you say, they bring aggression. They've got chips on the shoulders. Like you say, and yeah, they're gonna have to find more of that type. Like you say, you're gonna have where they finally manage that line of oh well, yeah, he's hard man, he's hard work. Like I say, we still managed to get the best out of him, put him in the best position to win. Like I say, even if it wasn't easy sometimes to get along with him. And they don't come on trees because usually they go the other way, like, oh God, next thing you know, they're getting in trouble or getting suspended. So yeah, it's going to be really hard to replace a potential whole four-man front or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like saying you lose, yeah, say your Juice Wells, your Trey Harris. Who's Austin Simmons throwing to next year?
Mm. I think they bought in, was it the Alabama guy, weren't it? Caleb Odom. They
Yeah,
bought in, so you figure he's going to get a look quite quick. I don't think he played too much
yeah. It's going to be
there.
another, yeah, a portal job.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got. I think Caden Lee is still there. Like, I think he was one of the ones who was the big guys next year. But yeah, you're looking for a standout like Trey Harris. He's been the standout for them.
Yeah.
He's been the guy. I
Hayden
don't,
Priestcorn, a 6 year tight end. A
yeah.
big part of what they want to do, blocking
Ah,
and catching.
there you've got Luke Haas. You remember that ginormous Arkansas
Yeah.
tight end. He's now there.
Straight away, they're gonna have to get him involved very quickly. Yeah.
He could be sneaky good for those. I'm certainly looking out for him next year. Luke Haas at tight end. I think he will probably take the job straight away
In
at that
general,
starting tight
whoever
end
wins
spot.
this job is going to be under serious pressure because
Yeah.
the team is. And Lane Kiffin, I know he's got the extension, and I know like everyone like say he may think like say he's untouchable.
Mm,
He hasn't achieved the right lot yet, and he's earned a hell of a lot of money.
yeah.
And he does run his mouth a lot online. And right now, he hasn't done a lot to back it up, has he?
No, he hasn't indeed. Like I say, the D line's good. You got Prince Will there this year. Princely's brother. We'll see how he does, but I know he's not coming to as much thoroughfare as his brother just yet. The Nebraska transfer linebackers, you said they've lost those. They've had to go to the portal. They bought in Marshall transfer Jaden Yates, Grambling State transfer Andrew Jones, but they're small school guys they're bringing in. Like expecting them to hit the wall right away is going to be tough. And then you go down into the secondary and obviously you've Trey Amos has gone. Like he's going to be a massive miss for them. They did get Jalen Braxton out of Arkansas, who might replace them right away, but it's going to be tough for them. But I think out of all the newbies, Austin Simmons, I'm really looking forward to seeing at the quarterback position. We'll see how he gets on, but his arm is absolutely freaking huge. Like he could be one of the best deep ball throwers in the game sooner rather than later. So we talked about Ole Miss a bit. Who is your third
No, my third one
three-way
is in
battle?
state. It's Michigan.
There we go with
Yep.
yeah,
So you've got Bryce Underwood, you've got Mikey Keene, you've got Jane Davis. Now you still have Davis Warren, but a torn ACL at the end of November, start of December. Over his timeline, he won't be ready for he can't be in the starting job. Like I said, I don't know how quickly he gets back on the field. But I mean, with no disrespect to him last year, played a lot of football. I hated a lot of it. A lot of it didn't look good. Like you said, didn't deserve an ACL. But yeah, it's going to be interesting when he comes back. But yeah, so as first the big name, Mikey Keene. Like you say, 5'11", like you say, what, 190, 200 pounds, long-term savvy veteran. Like you say, spent multiple years in the Mountain West, put together a good career for himself. Like you say, he has been a prolific quarterback. Like you say, he's good, he's got a good arm, he can do all the throws, he's experienced, he's got a lot of starts under his belt, a lot of playing time. And the Mountain West, there's no slouches in there. Like you say, he's a good Bulldogs teams. He comes in and yeah, the eligibility is running out, and I don't blame him for taking the opportunity to try, yeah, have that big 1 year under a big program. Just gets you a little bit more recognition going into the draft. So Mikey Keene has got bigger thing on his mind than the Wolverines, and I don't blame him. And then you've got Bryce Underwood. So you've got the darling, you've got the biggest name of casting the clue. Michigan have had to open their hearts, and if we're led to believe it's true of NIL, they've had to open their wallets. Or Dave Portnoy has anyway to manage to get this commitment. If we are led to believe it's true, what his NIL valuation is, like I say, you're talking like say 3, 4, 5, 6, $7 million. Like I say, I don't know the figure, no one really does, but yeah, this kid he is supposed to be the most expensive or valuable asset right now in the country. Like I say, he's done huge things at high school level. Like he comes in with like say a swagger, a part ready QB build already. Like I say, he's got an arm, he's athletic, he's got leadership, he's got everything about him that everyone was clamoring to get. Then you've got Jane Davis, so that's the only QB that was on the roster last year. Like I say, he only had like single digit snaps under his belt. Like I say, despite the QB chaotic situation last year, he was kind of the odd man out. He was always the guy looking out in. Even before he redshirted, it never felt like he was going to see the field, despite how bad Warren or Orgy did. I know, even if he was healthy all year, it just never felt like they were going to throw him in. So he really is a bit of an unknown momentum. It's a wild card. He's got no momentum in. So this battle's interesting. So prediction on paper, or what if you ask the fans, they would have to say Bryce has to start. Like you can't go to all these lengths to get him and then make all these promises to him, his family, his friends, and that to get him to commit, and then you don't give him the job. Like I say, it feels like a natural, like say, he has to start where he sinks or swim. But then you look at Mikey Keene, and He's not here to make up the numbers. Like I say, he isn't going to be here to just mentor them. Who was it a couple of years? It was the Tennessee quarterback that said, I'm not here to like look after Will. Was it? He said Malik Willis, like, I'm not going to look after, I'm not going to teach him anything. You won't learn out from me. And everyone said, wow, that's a bad attitude. Like I said, that makes you a bad teammate. I mean, I kind of be in that boat for Mackie Keane. I'm not here to teach Bryce Underwood how to be the guy. I'm here to push him and prove that experience and having production is more important than having hype, like you say. And I think Bryce starts the season, and at the first point he falters, I think Keane goes in to steady the ship. And if that happens, Mikey Keane may not give him the job back. If I know he can do what he does, I think maybe he could then ride that job out and then maybe use it to propel his 2026 draft stock. So this is going to be one of those where he will be nipping at Bryce's heels all the way along. And obviously they'll make mistakes and errors, but at some point he may be asked to go in and relieve him to protect Underwood from himself if he has those like kind of meltdowns. And then I expect Mikey to do everything in his power to keep the job.
And to throw another wrench into this, so Chip Lindsey's the new offensive coordinator in Michigan now. He was the one who recruited Mikey Keene to UCF when he started there as a young freshman, and he played there as a young freshman until he got hurt. So the offensive coordinator's already recruited him once, and he recruited him for a reason. And he was he a I think he was what? He was a 4-star or a high three when he went to UCF. Mikey Keene was,
I think it's
and
yeah.
he threatened to break out big there, but unfortunately, then he got stuck behind Plumlee when he got hurt. But offensive coordinator knows him, so like you say, it might not be as cut and dry as people think
When
right
Davis
now.
Warren does come back, Davis Warren will probably be, he probably bumps Javen Davis down to emergency QB. I know Warren's not great, but he saw a lot of playing time last year. It'll all come down to the front office, like say, new coaching staff, or do they just say, do you know what, we don't risk it? So it's going to be another year where Jaden Davis, it feels like he's going to be struggling to see the field. I'm kind of surprised he stayed.
I'm about to say I'm shocked. Like no one's. You've just mentioned the battle there. You're not talking about him as a starter. Nobody's talking about him as a starter. I feel really sorry for him. The high 4-star commit from last year, who everyone was raving about before that, because they were like, "Oh yeah, he's our guy. He's our next guy." And now everyone's just dropped him like that because Bryce Underwood's the new flavor. I feel
I've
really
named 10
sorry.
people. If any QB would enter the portal in spring camp, Jaden
And
Davis,
I think he would rightly do that as well.
yeah.
I wouldn't blame him because the
Depending on
pro
how the next couple of weeks go, he may consider, if he feels like he is firmly QB3, I would implore him to probably go test the market.
I know, because obviously you can't predict the future with what's going on, right? But you've brought in a highly experienced starting transfer, and you've flipped the number one recruit in the country, the highest recruit in Michigan history. That doesn't really strike confidence as you're the next guy, does it? That you've got another prospect in the year after you've been brought in, and you've got a starter, a highly experienced starter who's Bezzy's with the OC.
No. No, it don't bode well for Davis because it just feels like no matter what he did, probably won't be good enough. He's relying on injuries.
See, I would love to have seen him go to like Indiana or something like that. You know, one of the local up and coming programs where he can go make a name for himself and you know and do great things there. But you know, it's going to be tough for him. I would expect he'll leave next year,
Yeah.
or like
If
you
he
say,
stays this year, he's definitely gone next year.
but I do give him kudos for staying. That does actually show a good attitude. That he's like, you know what? I'm not going to run away. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to keep on fighting. And who knows? Maybe he shocks the world and beats the pair of them out, but looks unlikely at this point. In terms of other Michigan news, like Brent mentioned earlier, they've got a receiver who's just come in, young freshman who's doing really well. Jamar Browder, who they flipped from NC State. Thanks again for that. But new part of the new offensive scheme this year, Ryan. They're changing your mind. You think of Michigan receivers in years gone by, like Ronnie Bell, Nico Collins, guys like that. Not particularly tall, not particularly big. They've never really took that route. They've swapped that now. So young Jamar Browder, 6'5". They got another wide receiver transfer in this year from Indiana, Donovan McCulley, 6'5", and they've just put in a request for one of the most sought after FCS wide receivers in the portal, Sincere Brown from the Campbell Fighting Camels. Guess what? 6'5". Seems that they're going a new way this year. Bryce maybe, or maybe they're hoping whoever's got a new arm this year is going to be better for the team.
They're going
But
to push the ball downfield
they're
now, aren't
going, they're going to threaten the perimeter now. They're going to get tougher downfield. They're going to get deeper downfield. A big scheme change here for Chipmans. They're going for the big guys on the outside, and not too soon because they've not had that many in recent years, like proper, perimeter threats who are bigger guys. It's just not the way they've played.
they? No. They've relied a lot in recent years on perimeter play from tight ends. Like you said, they've always liked a big tight end. They've always liked a physical, muscular guy that can win in the red zone. But now, yeah, we're probably going to see more flood concepts. We're going to see more big receivers down the outside, stretch the field, and then, yeah, attack deep and down the sideline. So one of these guys, like I said, Keane's got a good arm. Led to believe Underwood's got a big arm. So yeah, it's time, like I say, they get a bit more vertical.
And then, of course, you've got a lot of holes to fill again coming up to this season.
D-line.
Obviously, not your running backs, you're going to have to replace, but your defensive line more than anything is your tackles. You've lost two of the best defensive tackles in the country. You've lost one of the best cornerbacks in the nation. You've lost the best tight end in the nation. Like, it's not as many this year, but the guys they have lost are all complete elite studs at their positions, and now they've got a lot of places they need to start refilling again.
Yeah, they've lost four players that are probably going to go in the first round. That's a testament. That says how hard. And don't get me wrong, we've seen in recent years, like say, they did just fine replacing these guys, but eventually that becomes harder and harder. We've seen recent programs like say guys like Georgia, but like say the at positions they've struggled where they've always had a deep pool. The well eventually kind of dries up. So yeah, you're replacing Josiah Stewart. You've got Grant. Like I say, you've got three out of like say potential four rotational or starting D line. You need to find those guys to come in. I expect they'll do it. I expect they'll have had people there ready and they'll have known them going. But yeah, they're big shoes to fill.
So the interesting name at running back for them, Justice Haynes is there now, the former Bama
Obama guy.
running back, and he's a big guy who can do a lot of damage quickly. I would expect him, if they get that offensive line to get going, he will be maybe one of the most prolific running backs in college next year. He's got a good amount of reps behind him from Alabama. He's ready to be a running back one.
Yeah, he's not got too much mileage on the clock. And this year, we've seen recent years how they've managed to try to like split the backs, split the workload. Maybe this year, like say, depending on who's behind Justice, they might actually say, do you know what? We're going to give you the rock. Like say, go have it. Can you carry it 250 times? So yeah, just turns good. It could be the big breakout years wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. Wide receivers a lot more up in the air for them. They've not got a lot of their own guys coming back here. They're relying a lot on transfers. So Donovan McCulley, I mentioned the big 6'5" out. He's slated to start. They've got a UMass transfer coming in, Anthony Simpson. Now, bearing in mind, they've picked some good players from UMass in recent years. They had the corner the other year who played really well for them when they won the Natty. But not a lot of names that you'll know on there. Samaj Morgan, Kendrick Bell, but a lot of turnover at the position. And then the tight end positions, you've got Marlon Klein, you've got Hogan Hansen, you've got Max Bredesen as well. And there's another name in there, a young guy who's working his way up the ranks, Brady Priestcorn. That name sound familiar for you for a tight end?
I'd imagine that's Caden's little brother.
Mm, it is indeed. So they've got Caden's little brother at the tight end position there. And then when you come to the offensive line, that's going to look completely different this year. You lost the left guard, who was the Northwestern transfer. I can never remember his name, but I really liked him, but it didn't quite work for him. So left tackle, you've got Nathan Afobe. The left guard, you've got Evan Link. The center, you've got Greg Crippen. The right guard, you've got Giovanni El Hadj. And then the right tackle, you've got Andrew Sprague. But this is another line where a lot of new guys coming in, and it's not going to be as dominant as it's been in recent years right off the bat. I don't know. I don't. Michigan football going into next year has a lot of questions. Obviously, they recruit incredibly well and that, but the offense, you look at it and you hear it and you're like, they need wide receivers to come through. They need offensive linemen to come through. They need tight ends to come through as well.
Yeah, it's a lot of question marks for a new quarterback. Like I say, it's one of those where I don't know what the ceiling is and I don't know how low the floor could be. Like I say, I don't know. It feels like one of those things like where if it starts badly, does Bryce Underwood redshirt?
Mm.
Did he think about protecting him? Like I say, I know it probably upset the fans, but it would depend. Like I say, if he picks up a knock or anything and it's not going great, maybe just wrap him in cotton wool and you just give Mikey Keane the job and see it out. So it's going to be one of those, yeah. There's going to be a lot of teething issues. I think Justice Haynes, they went and got him. He's a big name transfer, and he can't just come here and just like say expect to slot into another rotation. They're gonna give him a big workload. There's gonna be a lot of pressure on him to deliver straight away.
Absolutely. And then, as I say, when it's coming to the defense, that's going to be the same. So you've lost all your defensive tackles. So the name to watch for this year, Rayshon Benny. There is a ton of hype around him. He's been the guy sitting behind these two. He's slated to be the next big name there. You've got a couple of transfers coming in as well. But outside of that, it's a lot of guys who've not played a great deal of football at the moment. That spring training's going to sort of decide who starts there. Because I say outside of Benny, I don't think there is a starter in that. Then at linebackers, you've only got two. You've got two returning starters. So you've got Ernest Hausman. He's going to be the new green dot guy there from all accounts. Be one of their top, he'd be one of their top defensive prospects next year. You got Jace Sean Barham as well. But then going to the cornerback room and just replacing Will Johnson, that's going to be tough. I think he's one of the best players they've produced in the last decade. I think he will be going into college, into the NFL. And again, it's just a lot of questions here. You've got to replace the edge as well. They've lost the top edge rusher. Although I wasn't crazy, I'm not crazy about Josiah Stewart as a draft prospect, and I don't think it's the best ones they've ever had. Might be good for them to get some fresh edges in there, but not as much starting production coming back here either.
No, it's another unit, like I say, that has lost tons of production. I've always felt like, say, with the way they run their defense, like they've always been able to get the best out of guys, like say that don't always make the best prospects, like Stewart. Like you say, he did good serviceable work there. But yeah, they've always had strength in depth. So it just feel like their kind of gritty style of football up front that some leaders will emerge.
Absolutely. So I've been ignoring the comments on here, but Danny Mack goes, "Yeah, I'd start Bryce." He goes, "What happened to Jaden?" I don't think anything happened to Jaden. I just think sometimes you recruit a guy and you really like him, but then the opportunity to recruit someone even better comes along, but you don't know that when you first recruit a guy. So it's the trouble with college recruiting. Some of these guys commit 2, 3 years in advance, and then other guys come along, situations change, you can quickly be buried. I think it's just unfortunate for him because I think he
Davis Warren
would
don't tear his ACL. I don't think they probably get Mikey Keane in.
maybe
I
not.
think they probably just leave Davis as the backup.
Yeah, it does feel like the death knell though, because whoever starts, Mikey Keane will be the backup at minimum because he's the experienced guy they can bring in to run that system. So it's kind of like you're fighting for 1 and 3, not two. You either start or you're completely off the depth chart altogether. So it's just a really unfortunate sort of circumstance for Jaden Davis there. But I think this time next year he'll be starting at another Big Ten team, and I hope he does well there. Brent agrees with you. He goes, agreed, Ryan Bryce will struggle, but I think he'll learn quickly. Yeah, should do. He sounds confident though. I know the first few days of practice, they've said he's already taken a commanding
The
lead of
DJ
his
Lagway,
team.
he started last season horribly,
Hmm.
and he was the Gatorade Player of the Year, but down the stretch
See,
looked much better.
that's a perfect analogy. Like Keane could be his Mertz, although Keane's better than Mertz, but Keane can be the guy who just plays a lot of the snaps whilst Bryce settles in. And then you just bring in the new guy because DJ Lagway's ready to start this year. He's ready to go. He's going to be all in form. So as long as you've got Bryce ready to go as a competent starter next year, doesn't matter how you get there. But, I would not discount Mikey Keane out of this battle at all. And Brent also goes, Wolverines taking a page from the Ohio State wide receiver strategy. I don't know if Ohio State recruit tall guys. They just recruit five stars. Now they just recruit the best receiver in the nation every year. That's their strategy. So, but like going for the bigger guys, it certainly makes sense for Michigan. It's what they've not had in a long time. And it'll take pressure off the tight ends as well. The tight ends have had to do a lot of the contested catch work rather than the receivers. So here we go. But
My
yeah, there's
honorable
a
mention for the QB battle is Colorado. You've got the big recruit Julian Lewis, but then you've got one of the most productive quarterbacks in the nation is Kane Salter, the Liberty Flames. And they've brought in Byron
Ooh.
Leftwich, the QB whisperer slash OC that spent many years in the NFL. And you've already got Pat Shermer, he was like I say, a long-term Minnesota Viking staff. So to add that to Deion Sanders, you've got an NFL kind of coaching staff on that offense. And you're bringing, like say, two quarterbacks here that are going to battle it out to and throw, but someone's got to replace the coach's son. Like I said, so that's going to be a very interesting battle because the Buffs last year took great strides and were very competitive in the Big 12, but they've had a lot of loss as well this year.
I just Julian Lewis is a freak. Like he's freak. He's going to be freakishly good. And what is he? He is a five-star, I believe, isn't he?
Yeah.
Is he the five-star recruit? But he's the guy you build your franchise around for absolute sure from there. But then Caden Salter, I mean, that feels like a really good sitch actually, because you would assume Salter will come to the draft next year. So you play Caden Salter next year and then you give Lewis some packages. You let him play a little bit. You let him play a bowl game if you get to a bowl game, or I guess they want to play playoffs, but you at least let him do that. You let Salter
Another
go to
team
the
as well,
draft.
LeJontay West has gone, Travis Hunter's gone, Will Shepherd's gone.
Their entire receiving
The
core's in the
entire receiving
draft.
crop, those first four receivers from last year are all gone.
Hmm. Although you do have now a sophomore Jordan Seaton on your blind side. He's soon he's soon stepped into
Hit the
his
portal
five-star
like hard again,
status.
recruiting. But yeah, whoever gets the job, you throw into an all new cast.
You are, but I quite like the thought of that. But I would expect Julian Lewis to start next year and Caden Salter to start this year. But I guess,
Yeah, Salter's
Coach
shown he can
Prime,
do it. Salter, like I say, made Liberty a
a
household name,
powerhouse.
really.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him in the Big 12 next year. And hopefully he gets his year and then Julian Lewis gets his start next year because he will be just so damn good. He'll have had a year to bed in, learn everything, get the system to a
Good
T.
staff as well. Like I say, it could,
Yeah.
probably couldn't. I don't like Dion, but honestly, working from all them staff and going under him, like I say, it couldn't fault it. Like I say, it'd be a great place to be.
Absolutely. It's just in terms of their receivers. I've not taken much account as to who they've brought in at wide receiver. I don't know if they've hit the portal so much there. Obviously, didn't mention Jimmy Horn Jr. either. Like he's gone. Like um, everybody who they had is done. I know there's one star they've got there. Is it Isaiah Hodge or whatever they called? He's another. He's another two-way player. So he's the next Travis Hunter. He's played wide receiver and cornerback in college. Whether he tries that again with another Hunter type, or you figure with how low they are at receivers there, they'll probably play him on the offensive side of the ball. But they're in good sitch this year. That offensive line was much better this year for them. And I think a lot of them guys are returning. Obviously, the other big quarterback battle we didn't mention, the three-way, is Alabama, right?
Yeah,
Alabama's quarterback battle. This is, for me, one of the most interesting ones in terms of, you've got your presumptive guy there, but you've got this shiny new recruit for 2025, who's everyone is thinking could be the guy who comes in. So you've got Ty Simpson, who's the presumptive starter there. He's going to be next behind Jalen Milrow. You've got Austin Mack as well, who's a big flip. He was the four-star flip from Washington, who Kalen DeBoer bought with him. But then you've got Keelan Russell, the absolute stud superstar who they've
five
brought
plus
in.
star wanted guys on that.
He's a five he's a five plus, not just a five. He's a five plus. And from what I've seen with him during his spring practices, he's genuinely threatening for that job. Like, why maybe go with a placeholder who's like a redshirt sophomore or a redshirt junior if you can get a full 3 or 4 years out of the new guy? But I don't know. Do you? Because Kalen DeBoer's got a very short leash, I guess, at Alabama now after that first year. Can he afford to stick the raw freshman in there and hope that they win right away, or does he, like Freeman, play it safe? Because this to me is one of the most intriguing. I would love to see Keelan Russell get this job, but I don't know whether he will or not because of potential hot seat that his coach is on.
This one feels wide open. And it also feels like one of those where it could go either way. Like you say, you could get it right. I won't be. I'm going to go out on a limb here and probably say this is one of those where I feel like I have to see all three play a game. I think even DeBoer might think. I think we see all three during the season. And that's not because Kalen can't make his mind up. That's because I think they'll all bring different elements. All three of them will be very hard to separate throughout the spring. This feels like one of those where you kind of hope one of them hits the portal and makes it a bit easier. This is another team where I expect one of the losers to transfer out.
Hmm.
Because some of them come in, like say, and they're coming here to start. I've read online that say Austin Max looked pretty good, right? Say, and also, but yeah, does he have an advantage that he knows DeBar?
And he was recruited by
Saw him at
him.
his old school. He's brought him here. But then, like you say, when he took him to DeBar, like you say, he didn't play there, did he?
No.
You say he lost the job to what's his face, the guy from Mississippi State.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you're gonna Will Rogers.
Will Rogers, he like I say, Will Rogers beat him out, didn't he? And he's just a gunslinger. So was that a bad sign about Mac then? Which
Hmm.
makes me, does he have faith in him now? I'm not sure. Like I say, Ty
No,
Simpson. Oh, we've not seen a lot of him, have we? It feels like
no.
he's been around a long time when he's not, but I just haven't seen a
I
lot
th
of him.
I think
I've
they're
seen him
both.
release with him, but
He's from the 2023 class, I believe. So he's had 2 years in the system now, but he's been playing behind Milrose.
yeah,
And Milrose not missed barely any time due to injury. So, which,
this is one
which,
of those where I couldn't call it.
no.
But whoever comes in, yeah, best hit the ground running straight away.
Yeah. And it's not the only problem he's got either. This Bama offense is in some trouble this year. You look at the running back room, you got Jam Miller, but he didn't have the best year last year. Like he was the third year. He got the starting gig. It was his after I think he went up to the NFL.
Haynes is gone.
Haynes has gone. So
Your
after
offensive
that,
line.
your
You've lost your
depth.
starting guard in Tyler Booker.
Yeah. Like your depth at running back, Richard Young was the running back three last year. He's going to be your running back two, but he's barely played. After that, you've got red shirts and freshmen for your running back position. Your tight ends, your starter who's meant to be Danny Lewis is out for spring training with an injury. So you've got Josh Cuevas there, but he was the number three for them last year at the wide receiver position. I mean, I guess the only place you've got got good players coming back is obviously receivers. You've got Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams, who are just two of the best going, one of the best tandems in college football. And you've got depth behind them as well. So that's a decent position for them. But the offensive line, you've got four returning starters. You've only lost the one lineman there. So you've got Caden Proctor, Parker Brailsford, Jaden Roberts, Gino Vandermark. So hopefully it should be all right. I know Caden Proctor is injured for the spring as well, so it means that other guys can get him. But it wasn't the best line last year either. There's a
No.
lot of questions to be
Jalen
had
Milroe
outside of
took a
that
lot of
receiver
hits
room.
last year.
Mm. There's a lot outside the receiver room. There's question marks all over. So it's like this spring's going to be critical for them to try and build some depth and to try and get some starters onto the roster, which you don't assume with this Bama team, do you? You're like, usually they're pretty stacked going into most seasons. This is probably the least stacked they've been in some time. And then the defense is where they've lost a lot of their players this year. You know, Jihad Campbell gone. You've lost your defensive tackle, you've lost a couple more of your secondary players. times for Bama are tough, but they still got a whole ton of five-star recruits. They'll have one of the best recruiting classes in there, so we'll see what happens in regards to them. In terms of other battles we've got out there, let me just because I've got about 20 different things up at this moment in time.
OSU
Um,
QB. Do we think is Air Noland the favourite still?
it's I think no, it's the other one, isn't it? Hang on. Just one moment. I've got the article up here somewhere. Trying to do this is because I know that they did an interview with Will Howard and he mentioned it. Who did he say should be the next guy? I think he did mention it's Julian Sayin. You've
Oh,
got
the
Julian,
Georgia commit.
yeah, you've got Julian Sayin and
He's a
you've
five
got
star, I think, as well, isn't he?
Air Nolan's a four-star, I believe. Air Nolan and Jaden Davis were the competitors coming in because they thought it might be the next big quarterback battle, in this rivalry. And the crazy part is neither of them may see a snap for their team at all. But Julian Sayin's coming in there next year. I would expect him to start day one. Like Ryan Day's just won a natty. He's under no pressure now. He could have the worst year ever. They'll give him a key to Ohio for ages now. I feel like we would see him there sooner rather than later.
Yeah. This is one of those, yeah. This is a quarterback, yeah. This is just about bedding in the right guys for the long term. So yeah, there's not a lot of pressure on him. Like I say, you come off a natter, you're returning. Well, you've lost both starting running backs, but you're returning the best receiver in the nation, would it be fair to say, in Jeremiah Smith? You are getting the
Yeah,
best
yeah.
target probably in the country to go to, which is a relief. But yeah, your offensive line, like you say, you're losing a starting guard, you're losing, like you say, one of the best tackles. So it's another team, like you say, that's run game severely going to be affected.
You are. I'm not. There's not a lot out. They've not started their training yet, I don't believe. So in terms of new guys coming into that system, not too much there. But I would think Julian Sain will get the starting job, and that's funny because he was Alabama's next big thing. They remember when they flipped him from Alabama. Alabama now have this problem because they managed to flip him from their program. So. Yeah, but I would expect Julian Sain to start there. It would be fun to see Sain versus Underwood, like the two big guys at Ohio and Michigan State. Michigan, sorry, that would ignite a rivalry for years. At that point, where else have we got? Indiana, I've got mentioned here. So obviously Fernando Mendoza at Indiana. Now, I didn't actually realize his little brother is there as well. So there's potentially.
You're already there.
Albert Mendoza, yeah. So he got recruited by Kurt Signetti. We now might have a Mendoza dynasty at Indiana because his brother's just come in there this year, so he's got years left. Fernando Mendoza has been a starter for what, a year? So he's got a couple of years starting left in
One
him.
true starter for a year for Cal, yeah.
Yeah, so he's got a couple of years left if he wants, and then you've got his brother there as well, who's probably going to be the next big thing. If, by all accounts, he could be just as good as his brother. But I'm looking forward to seeing Fernando Mendoza at Indiana. He's another who could low key be, a high draft pick for somebody one day. You saw what he could do at Cal last year. He's another dual threat potential guy if he's optimized. I mean, I don't know with Indiana. It feels like they would put emphasis on his passing rather than like they like their pocket passers there, not their dual threat guys. But I'm looking forward to seeing him there. And by all accounts, he started spring training with a bang. He threw at the pro day, and everyone was so impressed by him. This is another low key to watch out for early.
Yeah. And Cal were a weird team because Cal were like the LA Chargers a few years ago. They had so many, if you flipped all their scores by like less than one score, they could have won every game in the season. They were like loads of just like I've read something like nine one score like games or losses. Like they were just terrible at closing out games, despite playing some great football all year in fourth quarters or like 2 minute sessions. They kind of just fell apart. But yeah, Mendoza, big arm. He showed that I'd say he's a really good under center. He can make all the throws. He can spread the ball around. Like I say he's a well built guy, and it kind of went under the radar because it felt like his portal entry in that all was like quite late on. It felt like say it was quite a late commit, and like say it was then like working through the options. But yeah, he's a guy that the program's in a good place. He's got good staff there. He's got a good solid core nucleus, and he's a guy that's looking to kind of ride the wave, jump a bit on the bandwagon and prove, like say, that he can tit menu, can carry that on. Because like say, Rourke left the team in a great place. It's a good situation to be in right now because it's got a good feeling about it. And like I say, he's got a good resume behind him. So if things do go well for him there, then he can kind of like say jump start his look towards maybe 2026 to 2027 draft stock.
Absolutely. There's a ton of new quarterbacks coming into the Big 12 this year. Indiana's new, Ohio State's new, Michigan's new, Oregon is going to be new. And this is one of the intriguing storylines
This is
this
one
year.
of
One
those,
of the
yeah, that's
best
it. Everyone thinks,
reclamation
everyone loves
projects.
Dante, but I don't know.
So this is more on more this year, and by that, so Dante Moore, the former high UCLA commit, is there now, but he has got what is going to be, and by all accounts, his spring training, he's living up to it. The next great freshman wide receiver, true freshman wide receiver, Decorian Moore, is there now, and by all accounts, he is an absolute stud who has been making catch after catch after catch, which has been leaving his, teammates floored by how good he is. If Dante Moore's going to have a chance at succeeding there, he needs a weapon, but this guy could potentially be better than Jeremiah Smith. I've been told, which is how good he is, but he's going to have a top number one weapon there to throw for him.
Yeah, this is a team that I say it's kind of got so near but so far in recent years. I say it's Dan Lanning is one of the top coaches in all of collegiate sports. Like I say, he's a good guy. He puts a good ethos in, and he has got production, and he's got the rewards. Like I say, he's taken players, he's taken a roster that a lot like wouldn't even consider individual positions wouldn't be that high in the country, and he's built some great units. And he's played great complementary football. Yeah, big shoes to fill. Like I say, Dylan Gabriel. He's never been sexy. He's never been flashy. The guy's just been efficient, hardworking, quiet. Don't run his mouth. Just a kind of like a stand-up guy. And even in this QB draft cycle, like I say in the NFL right now, no one talks about Dylan Gabriel ever. Like I say, he's always a forgotten man because he's very quiet. Like I say, and he's short, and like you say, but despite he's been a fantastic college quarterback, and then Dante Moore will come in, like I say, I reckon he'll be brash, he'll be cocky, won't he, like all the other young five-star kids. He's already on his second school. Like I say, there's a lot of hype. There's a lot of guys out there ready as well to cut him down. There's a lot of
Yeah.
guys ready to say, like, yeah. And to be honest, I'm one of them. If he doesn't live up to expectations, I'll come down on him hard. Like you say, this is a big opportunity for him. Like you say, he's got a five-star special tier plus receiver, one of the next biggest things in the country. Like you say, it's a roster as well that it's lost a lot of guys, but there's still a lot of depth there at positions. It's in a great position. It should be competitive straight in the Big Ten. So yeah, you give him the keys, and now I expect him to keep him on course.
And two of the guys who've been standing out in their spring practices all so far is their running back duo. You got Noah Whittington there who'll take over as lead back, but you got Mackie Hughes, the Tulane transfer, and how good has he been in recent years? Like he could absolutely flourish in Eugene. That pairing, that's a dangerous pairing, and that's a great pairing for a new QB to have
Offensive
as
line as
well.
well. It's lost, like say, is it Josh Connolly?
Yeah.
Like say, but other than that, a fantastic unit as a whole. Kept Dylan Gabriel clean as a whistle.
Mm. You are. So you're in a good position if you're the new starting QB there. So Dante Moore, he cannot say that he's in a bad position this year. He is going to have everything he needs to be able to succeed. Obviously, the defensive line's a bit more of a problem. They've lost a lot of those defensive guys last year, no more so than Derek Harmon. But another one he's not quite lived up to his billing yet, but a new guy there who can. Bear Alexander's been looking good in training. This is Bear's time to shine now. Like this is where he resuscitates his career.
Yeah, curious case, isn't it? Like you say, came into college, like you say, with super amounts of, like say, one, production, two, hype, three, reputation. And then all we've heard is, God, like you say, this kid, we can't coach him. You don't want to learn, disruptive. It feels like a lot of people, like I say, have questioned his character in recent years. Just effort. I've
Mm.
watched him sometimes. I just see a lack of effort. I fully believe the talent is there. For me, it's just always been the work ethic and, like say, the attitude for me has always been the problem. But if anyone can fix that, I'd like to think it's someone like Dan Lanning. Maybe well, it's USC, like say, would Lincoln Riley have put an I don't know. I don't think he'd have put an arm around him. I don't think he'd have been that kind of guy. I've never got them kind of vibes that's like father role. I feel like Dan Lanning might be able to get the best out of Bear Alexander. I'd like to think so. It's last chance of saloon for Bear as well. If he tanks it here, no one in the Power Four is going to want him, and there'll be no future draft stock. So for him, this feels like a huge year for him
Where
to
is this
try and
in?
finally show that level of maturity.
Where was his initial commitment? Georgia. Was
I
he in this?
believe it
Was he a
was. I believe
Georgia
he's gone like
commit?
Georgia. I feel like he had 20, 30, and I feel like he had multiple like commits, decommits. I'm
He's been
sure he's probably
everywhere.
committed to like 3 or 4 schools by now.
Probably did. Probably just not been able to settle there, has he? Speaking of Georgia, we'll make Georgia the next stop for spring training, and they've got a lot of redoing to do this year, and more so, they've got a quarterback battle. Obviously, Gunnar Stockton has taken snaps there in Carson Beck's absence, but then he's got the redshirt freshman Ryan Puglisi snapping at his heels, and that maybe not. I know a lot of people think he'll start, but even Kirby Smart said this is far from over at this point in time. He may not get the job, and I don't know if he's earned the job yet.
I mean, I go back to the playoffs. I saw Carson Beck get hurt. Gunnar Stockton comes out in the second half. All he did was run the ball. He looked scared to throw. Like you say, then he got, like you say, the big devastating hit, the injury, like you say. But yeah, not enamored with him. I don't know if I trust him. I don't. To be fair, I didn't like Beck. Like I say, Beck's another name, like I said, has been deservedly kind of lost in this cycle. Like I said, I was never keen on his game at all. But yeah, Stockton, don't know. I look at him, I just don't feel like Bulldogs quarterback. I just, I think he can probably get stuff done with his legs. He's very deceptively agile in the open field. He's a great runner, like you say. He's kind of guys that can make on field punishers play. But can he get it done with through the air? Has he got the arm? Has he got the strength? Like say, has he got the speed to get it out? I don't know. This feels like one of those where the new kid on the block may come in and pull the rug from under his feet. I feel like this is one where Stockton may start, but I could see him quickly losing the job.
Mm.
Reverse
Yeah, I
tackle.
yeah, and again, a lot of turnover on this team. You
Offensive
know,
line, another
off
one that's been good.
offensive line's been good. Your defensive line's been gutted again, although they seem to keep getting away with it. But I think the linebacker. So in terms of their defense this year, I've got it up here as in their starting depth chart. So at nose tackle, you've got Xavier McLeod, who's pretty decent. Defensive tackle, you've got Kristen Miller, who's going to be like, he's not playing in spring. He's hurt his shoulder, but he's going to be the next high draft pick off that defense on the defensive line. But then you go to the ends. The ends are thin. You've got Gabe Harris there, and that's pretty much it for now. They've lost so much of their depth. Now, of course, they're littered with five-star guys all over, but it's about developing them and getting them to where they need to. The jack, because they play the jack position. There's Quintavious Johnson. He's not played a great deal there either. I think who was their jack this year? It was Jalen Walker. I think who was playing their jack spot. So you've got to replace him as well. That's another first round draft pick out the
He has
books.
6.5 sacks this year, and he was a rotational guy. So the depth at linebacker has been hit hard.
Yeah, so your linebackers, you've got CJ Allen and Raylan Wilson who are starting now. They always seem to have their linebackers get a ton of depth snaps on here, so they come in basically like starters. But after that, it's thin. The star is so far it's Jonel Aguero who they've got in there, but that's another position they're having to replace. The cornerbacks are
Dan
Daniel.
Jackson.
Yes, I believe he played their star position, or I think he comes in as safety as well. But yeah, the quarterbacks are Daniel Harris and Dalen Everett. They are returners, but um, not too much work in there either. Safeties, you've got KJ Bolden, who's the superstar, true freshman from last year. He's going to be a sophomore this year. He's going to go to the draft the year after next. He ain't going to stay down in college for long, but then they need another starting safety. So holes all over their roster, but they've dealt with it in previous years. If any
It's no
teams,
issue for them, is it?
no, it's not. They just seem to find new guys here, there, and everywhere. All right. So, who else do we have on here in terms of any other teams you want to mention? So, Tennessee, a few bits coming out from there. Apparently, Nico Omieleiva's looking really good, but they're having issues as well with the amount of loss they've had on the defense. Obviously, the running back room, they've lost their star running back in there. They've lost their star receiver. Brew McCoy's gone. Um, so they said there's no one really showing out for them just yet. Defensively, they're looking pretty good. They've bought quite a lot of players back next year, and it wasn't the worst unit. So, but yeah, just so Tennessee's there. Who else we got? We've done Oregon. LSU haven't really started theirs yet. Clemson are going to be the team to watch this year. I think in terms of maybe trying to reach the natty, and they've got a new big toy at running back because obviously Phil Mathers gone. They don't have someone in there right now. They don't have an heir apparent. But their new freshman Gideon Davidson, who's coming, they reckon he's going to take the number one job off there right away. He's one of their high-profile recruits this year. But they've got a few freshmen who said they're going to possibly going to break into the team. The next defensive tackle there, Amari Adams, he's 6'4", 285 pounds coming out of high school. Like, Jesus Christ, this dude's going to be absolutely massive by the time that he gets there. But they've already said he's going to be. I mean, some people have already been comparing him to Dexter Lawrence, and they've said he's going to be much better than what Brian Brzee was. And that's people from within the program saying that just within his first few spring training um, sessions that he's had. There's also a lot of buzz around the quarterback as well, right? Vizina, he's the he's like the heir apparent after. Um, what's his face is done. Why the hell am I forgetting? Cade Klubnik is done, but they've said he might challenge Cade this year. It might be surprising, but you never know with Dabo.
No, and like that's another team that for a couple of years they're not really worried about their quarterback. Like I say, Vizina, I think was like a high four-star kind of guy. Klubnik, yeah, actually, it showed great strides this year. Should hit the country this year as a Heisman kind of contender. Like I say, he kind of guy that whatever gut happens this year, strike while the iron's hot and declare. Like I say, he'll be a shot. I mean, he's got to be a first rounder. Like you say, probably a top 10 pick. I imagine Cade Klubnik's got a lot of suits pretty high, yeah. And then yeah, it'll be up to I suppose maybe towards end of year. Or Clemson, you'd have to think they want to be back in the playoff picture. So it won't be a case if you can play the backup and like rub him in. It's kind of like saying, no, Cade's going to have to get us to glory land and then next year, right? So if he's in it's your job then when he's gone. He's just going to get the scraps this year, in
Potentially.
the fourth quarters when they're out of sight.
Unless the season goes completely to pot and they're out of the playoffs at some point, they may switch. But yeah, he's apparently having a really good set of spring practices so far. Right. I think, we've been going on a little bit on that. So obviously
With
spring.
Miami, Carson Beck. Like,
Ooh.
wasn't that a weird? I thought that was a weird fit.
I mean, that's another team who,
Yeah, because you've got Ja'Cory Brown that was the backup last year, haven't you? And then you've
yeah,
got Mitt that's you got Derek Coleman, the four-star dual threat.
yes, you
Really
have.
hard.
I would not assume that Carson Beck is going to lose that one. You would think not,
You
but
also got Reese Pothenbarger still. I think he's still there.
oh, was he the rate prolific FCS thrower?
Yeah, and he went up there. And like you say, I think he's basically just QB3. I think he's still probably QB3, QB4 now.
That's crazy. You'd have thought he'd have moved on by now, surely. Like, you want to go to somewhere where you're starting. Um, I mean, they're not in a bad spot running back. So Mark Fletcher Jr., he'll be the starter this year. He's an absolute stud and he'll not be in a rotation anymore. So you would expect him to break out big time. But
Royo, he's lost Restrepo.
they've lost their top four receivers from last year. I mean, they bought in CJ Daniels from Liberty. I mean, you would expect he's probably going to get a good go of it. But outside of that, it's all rotation, guys. They've lost their top four starters. They've lost Arroyo at tight end. They've lost Cam McCormick, 10-year, 12-year veteran of college football. He's gone as well. I mean, it's transfers from Tulane and UAB there at this moment. Offensive line, they've lost two starters as well. So that's potentially going to be a tough
It
sell
feels
for
like they're going
them.
to go back to bad Miami.
Potentially,
I feel like Cam
absolutely.
Ward papered over a lot of cracks last year.
Yeah, yeah, he did. He did absolutely. So to say, yeah, spring training is going to go on for a long time yet. We will keep doing sporadic shows on it as we go along, just trying to break down some of the stuff that's been going on. But yeah, you've heard about some of the quarterback battles that are on the docket today, some of the early news that's coming out of these, and some of the players maybe to look out for next year as well. If you have any other questions whilst we're here, just let us know and we'll get to those because we're sort of at the point where we've done with that now. We'll maybe talk a bit about the draft and that before we're done. The one thing I did want to run by you, obviously, you're a Big 12 guy, and SI did their power rankings for the teams going into spring training in 2025. So I thought you'd be interested to hear about that and what a difference a year makes. Arizona State were ranked dead last in the Big 12 last year. They ranked second this year, second in the power rankings of the Big 12. Now it's all, they are, as you've said, returning how many starters? 21, 20 of 22? They've just
Yeah,
lost two to the draft.
I
They've
think
just
they had
lost,
this. I think when we did that returning product, they were
yeah.
second in the country.
Just Shamari Simmons and Cam Scatterbo have gone right, and you've got O'Day in from Army to be the new running back. I'm sure there'll be a new safety in there. So, returning production. Sam Levitt's coming back. Nathan Tyson, by the way, I saw, not Nathan Tyson. That was the Nottingham Forest striker from 20 years ago. Jordan
Jordan.
Tyson is fit and healthy for spring training. So there
Shoulders
you
all
go.
right.
Jordan is healthy and ready to go, which is great. He's one of the best returning receivers in the nation. So great for them. You want to take a bet at who was in front of you on this list because you were second. And I don't know if you'll get this right away, but you're thinking about potential threats in the Big 12 next year. Teams who are strong, who've
Texas.
maybe got an experienced quarterback in place. Sorry, go on. Who did you say?
It can't be Texas Tech because they've just built a
No,
bottom roster.
no, it's not. They are fifth.
Oh, is it Iowa State?
No, they are fourth.
Because I've not actually seen the report.
So let's put it this way: it's quarterback who you really like, dual threat guy. Oh, I think you really like. You talk about him all the time. So imagine that could be a lot of guys in the Big 12, but they won it a couple of years ago. Got him stumped here.
Drawing a blank for some reason.
Kansas State.
Oh,
Kansas State ranked as the spring training power rankings. They're ranked number one this year. Obviously, Avery Johnson going to be the guy this year. Then you've got you've got Dylan Edwards coming back at wide receiver at running back. Kleiman's won one before, but they're putting a lot more respect on your name this year. Second, I think that's reasonable. So you look,
I mean,
you
I'd have said they should be first, purely for returning 80% and 74% in offense and defense.
that is true. So the listing, it's Kansas State at one, Arizona State at two, BYU are at three, Iowa State are at four, Texas Tech at five, Kansas at six, Utah at seven, TCU at eight. God, how far are Colorado down this? Baylor at nine, Colorado at 10, Houston 11, West Virginia at 12, which I don't like, Cincinnati 13, Arizona 14, UCF 15, Oklahoma State 16. I'm pretty sure you could have flipped that chart last year and that pretty much would have been correct. OK
Yeah,
State were
we've
right at
got
the top.
Utah and that, and bit Oklahoma State were at the top last year, weren't they?
And
They're at the
UCF
bottom.
were pretty high as well.
Yeah, like I said, they've been rinsed, bless them.
I know. But Colorado down at 10 feels a bit cruel, given that they're not going to suffer that much of a departure in the QB room, I
Guessing
don't think.
the big losses are all the receivers. Lost BJ Green, their edge rusher.
Yeah. But yeah, Texas Tech didn't get in there. But at number five, I mean, you think about the quarterbacks this year. Avery Johnson at Kansas State, Sam Levitt at Arizona State, Jake Retzlaff, I think, is back for BYU.
Yeah, he was last
You've
year.
got you've got the Bechtical at Iowa State. You've got Behren Morton at Texas
Still
Tech.
got no Fafita at Arizona.
You've got Noah Fafita at
He had a bad
Arizona.
year, but don't make him a bad quarterback.
Yeah, I think Devin Dampier is coming to Utah, which is
Yeah, yeah.
massive. Josh Hoover at TCU. You've got Sawyer Robertson at Baylor. You're going to have at least Caden Salter at Colorado. Connor Weissman transferred to Houston. Like West Virginia, like who the hell have we got? No, I say we. I don't know who West Virginia have got, but
Oh, Garrett
UCF.
Green's gone, isn't he? So
Yeah, I mean, the Big 12 is a smorgasbord of really good quarterbacks next year. All those names, Behren Morton, Sawyer Robertson, all potential draft picks
yeah. I mean, Connor Weigman was a huge pickup, wasn't he?
for Houston. Yeah, like I really hope he
Houston that
gets
have
his
had some
redemption tour.
rough years as well.
I really hope he gets his redemption tour there because I had Weissman as me bloody Heisman winner last year. Good God, how awful a prediction does that? Out of my predictions over the years, not one of my finest. But Big 12.
Big year for Mike Gundy.
His
After
long
all that, like say that you we're going to sack you if you don't take a pay cut. That has put a really weird tone on this year, hasn't it? Like they wanted him to take a restructure, didn't they? They're going to get rid of him.
and they've lost their one-star player on offense.
Yeah. I mean, it
Ollie
feels like
Gordon's
if it
gone.
starts badly, it feels like we're heading for a divorce mid-season. And don't get me wrong, he's one of the most respected coaches in the country. How long has he been at Oklahoma State? But it feels like it's going to turn sour.
Yeah, and
No way they're good this year. They were bad last year. And like I said, their best player's gone.
um absolutely. Yeah, and there's not much on defense. They've lost.
The QB room last year was bad.
I don't even know what their QB situation is going to go into this year. It's going to be.
Is it going
I
to Gundy again? Is he going to start his son again?
You can't assume they're going
I
to,
hope
can
not.
you?
He wasn't good last year.
No, and it's not going to. Yeah, that's not going to give you job security at
What's his
all.
face has to be gone. Alan Bowman.
So
Can't
yeah,
still be in college, can he?
no, I think he's gone now. But I mean, your non-cons, they've got Oregon and Eugene in the non-cons. Then you're playing Baylor, Arizona, Houston, Cincinnati. I mean, that's not a bad start, to be fair. That's not any of the big hitters. Then you got Texas Tech, Kansas, Kansas State, UCF, Iowa State. You're missing a lot of the big guns next year. That's not the worst schedule for him. No Colorado, no Arizona State in there. Obviously, you got to take on K-State, but it's yeah,
He's
going to
on a
be
hot
tough for
streak.
him. Oh yeah, when we get onto coaches' hot seats for next year, he's
It's
probably
more
going to
likely
be
he
on that.
resigns than he's fired.
You are?
I think it's more likely he resigns.
Yeah,
Fired.
absolutely. I think he's certainly done at that point. Let me just dive onto Twitch because I realize I've not been watching Twitch. Let's just check if there's anything on there. I don't think there is. Question wise, say if anyone's got any questions they want to ask us because we're going to get out of here shortly now because I think we've just gone through about everything that we're going to this evening. There is nothing on Twitch there. I'll just go through the next shows and bits like that first, and then we'll do any more questions. So, next shows, the next Main Lines podcast is going to be on Monday, as always. I think we're talking defensive tackle prospects in the draft. So yeah, join us for that. I say there's going to be a new tape watch video go up about Donovan Azuruaku soon, so keep an eye out for that if you want to have a watch of that. It's about an hour long again, but it's good stuff. And then me and Ryan about next week, I think next week we're going to do the mock draft simulator challenge that we've done for ourselves, and we've been landed in it this year. So if you remember last year, we basically picked 30 players at random with a series of numbers and that. We challenge a mock draft simulator, see if we can mock more players to the actual team than the simulator does. We beat it last year, which was good. So we're going for 2 years in a row against it. But we've been given like 8 running backs and 12 picks outside the top 200 this year. So we've really, really been put in a hole with this. But that's going to be good fun. And you can all join in at home as well. We've got a Discord challenge going, actually. I've done one in there. So if you want to come and take part in it, see how good you are at predicting where players are going to be drafted and whether you're better than a mock draft simulator, just let us know and we will sort that out. I just need to message Matt and let him know that we are about done. Duh, 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 duh. Anything else, college? Any other topics you want to quickly chat about this week? Anything college football related?
I don't think I've seen anything.
I don't think there is. We're in sort of a really quiet period now. Like I say, it's just the start
It
of
feels like it's all very hush right now.
it is just the start of spring training. I was listening actually to an interview. It was a UNC podcast earlier because I was intrigued about what Bill's doing there. Apparently, Bill's already making his quarterbacks play under center, which apparently has been a nightmare in spring training at the minute because
Fumbles galore, bad snap.
quarterbacks don't do that in college. And apparently, he's transferred into it right away. He's going to stick a pro style in there as quick as he can. But I'm doing the over under on fumbles is going to be
UNC will be bad, but
pretty
it's going to be
high.
probably fun to watch. It's going to be entertaining.
Well, I was listening to them and what they were chatting about. They said that they're in a lot of bother this year because they don't have a quarterback. Max Johnson's coming off a broken leg, and they've said even like he's underwhelmed in his career so far. He's not been great. They said
But with LSU,
the backups are not really pushing him at the minute. Obviously, Amari and Hampton is gone, their star running back, and by all accounts from at the minute, they've not got the next guy up, which is weird because Amari Hampton was the guy after the last two running backs got drafted the same year. You know, that great pairing they had, obviously Javonte Williams and Michael Carter, I think it was. But Amari Hampton was there to replace them right away. But apparently they don't have the Amari Hampton in there yet. And there's a ton of transfers and that upcoming. Because obviously Bill's putting a lot of his own players, but that's going to be a very interesting watch this year, isn't it, UNC? How do you transfer to the pro style offense? Because it's just so difficult in college, especially quarterbacks don't play under center at all.
this is going to be this will be a match made in hell. Real under over how long does Bill last before he resigns?
Yeah, you figured he's going to be there a couple of years and that'll be that.
Give it a year. I reckon Bill consider resigning this time next year if it goes badly.
Did his son go there with him in the end, Steve, or has he stayed at Washington?
Well, I'm pretty sure the contract they signed was to say that Steve will leave his job as Washington DC and become the head coach whenever he leaves, and that is legally binding.
Oh
That's one
wow,
of the most bizarre clauses I've ever seen, but I'm pretty sure it was agreed to,
yeah, that's
which
crazy.
frankly hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, dear. Oh no. Um, the ACC is hard to track this year. Florida State have banned people from watching their spring training, and NC State have done the same for theirs as well. So it's very difficult to pick up any news about what's going on with a lot of these teams. Obviously, Clemson have been a bit more open about it, but yeah, UNC are going to be an absolutely fascinating case study this year for how the pro style adapts, and maybe more coaches are going to come down. Who knows? But yeah, I'm putting the over under of fumbles on that team really high because apparently they're just struggling a lot. They didn't sound very optimistic considering Bill's there. Now, whether it's just because there's going to be a massive scheme change and it's going to take a year or so to implement, I don't know. But I don't know. That would be an interesting one to see out of. Matt is not here at the minute, so we're just going to carry on chatting about whatever we can really think of until he is. I know he's not well at the minute, so I'll just have to keep nudging him until he's done. Let's say if anyone has any questions they want to ask, then just let us know. Let's just have a look, see if any more news has dropped or anything that we can quickly discuss. I know there's been more talk about the playoffs. There's still nothing been decided about yet, by the way. I know we talked about it recently about them either going to 14 or 16 teams, but they've not announced that yet. Syracuse have also put the name forward for that Colorado spring game. I think that would be really fun Fran Brown versus Deion Sanders. Obviously that Q's team really damn good this year. Obviously they are. I have no idea what's going on there, the amount they've got to replace, but I would like to see that battle in spring training.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Get under the dome, good conditions, and let them just tee off on each other.
Mm,
Guys, they're
absolutely.
replacing. They'll be looking for a new quarterback, a new receiver, a new tight end.
Yeah. Obviously, Rondé Gadsden's gone,
Edson,
so
Ryan, McCord,
yeah, it's
corners
that.
like Chestnut and that as well. So they're replacing, I think, both corners.
Yeah, that's a lot to have to deal with, especially for a school their size. So it's a shame
And
because
uh,
they really hit the ground running last year under him.
yeah, and is it Keel Fags? Is it for Keel Fags? Is he the
Shaquille
receiver?
Diggs.
Keel, yeah. He's a sleeper in the draft, apparently.
Mm,
His combine was really good.
yeah, absolutely. So other bits. In fact, actually, we'll go through this. So there was an article put up about teams who could make a shocking run for the college football playoff next year. And this is a shocking list. So this is CBS who've put this up. Their top five like shocking runs to the Natty next year: Washington, Florida State, Kansas, Auburn, and Houston. I am willing to bet my bottom dollar that potentially not
If they
even
just
one of
pull those names
those
out of thin air.
that one of those doesn't even make a playoff. Now, we're going to assume with Washington, obviously year one under Jedfish was not good at all, but it just wasn't easy to replace Michael Penix, to replace Roma Dunze, to replace all that offensive talent they lost in one go was always going to be impossible. So you figure maybe they can have a bounce back year, and they
And
still
now they have
got
to
bowl
replace Joe
eligible.
McCollum.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier, but I think it's so obviously Takario Davis is there now. They bought him in. That's like a big addition for the secondary. There's a lot less. They've lost a few, but they've not lost the amount of talent they did last year. And obviously it's in the Big Ten, which the Big Ten, all the main players are swapping quarterback. There's nothing solid there next year. Penn State are always fraudulent, so maybe. Florida State, no chance in hell. They ain't going anywhere anytime soon. They've got too far to come back from. Castellanos will do
That
well
QB
there.
job.
Castellanos will do well there in Florida State, but there's just so much of that team they need to get better at. I don't think they're going to beat Clemson. I don't think they're going to beat even the teams like Louisville. I think they'll struggle with. So I'm not sure. Kansas is an interesting one for the Big Ten. Now, Jalen Daniels, I think, is staying there next year. I think it will be his last year. He's shown he can be good.
Devin Neal, though. How do you replace him?
No, and you've lost your two
Oh,
star
man,
corners. You've
yeah, you've
lost your
lost
two star
Dobson and Kobe
corners.
Bryant.
So unless they've picked something right out of there, I would struggle to think that they're going to get in. Auburn is crazy, but I guess Jackson Arnold has
Yeah,
got Cam Coleman, and you've got the massive Georgia Tech transfer, Eric Singleton, I
yeah.
think's
Yeah.
gone
You've
there.
got weapons and you've got maybe a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not out on Jackson Arnold yet. Like last year in Oklahoma, he was thrown to the
Oh,
Wolves.
flashes.
So he still gets a pass. But I struggle to see them. But I mean, I guess they're thinking along the lines of Georgia's got a quarterback battle and maybe not particularly that good. Alabama's got a quarterback battle and particularly might not be there at this point in time. Ole Miss have been rinsed in the transfer portal. Like Tennessee's your most stable program potentially, or LSU. But are they better than Tennessee or LSU? I don't think so. I think you would have to sneak through as like a wild card into the playoffs and get a very favorable playoff draw to be able to do that. And then Houston, surely that's down to Connor Weisman. But
Who else? What else is there?
but that's the thing. The Big 12 it's the hardest Power Four conference right now.
And didn't they fire Dana Holgerson's? Isn't it first time head coach as well?
I believe so. Yes.
Oh yeah, they got Dana, didn't they?
Yes, they did. It's Willie Fritz there now, isn't it? I mean, he's a good head coach. Obviously, he
Well,
won the yeah. So
yeah,
obviously,
that I thought that was a weird move for him. It had to be money.
or the promise of a great quarterback going there. So Willie, they got a great head coach. They got potentially great quarterback. But I'm not picking them as a dark horse for the like. If it's a CFP playoff or if it's a Natty, you put Arizona State in there, right?
Talking
In,
dark horses for now, like Florida.
yes, yes, I agree with that. Florida could be really good
They're
this
going to be
year.
they should be fun to watch this year.
They should be really good this year. I would agree with
All
that
that second
entirely.
year talent and all the portal additions and Napier gets a bit of breathing room.
Well, let's do our own five-team list then, and then let's do better than them. So, five teams we reckon might make a dark horse run next year. Florida. I'm putting Arizona State in there. I don't know whether a dark horse, but I think in terms of them winning the Natty, that's a dark horse. So we've got two there. Now let's have a look. So who in the Big Ten could be a dark horse Natty run winner? I think saying Penn State is out the equation. I think
Yeah,
I think that's
that'd be fun.
fraudulent territory. Or you got the ACC. Who's ready to challenge in the ACC? I don't know if anyone is.
On a national
Um,
level, I don't think anybody that's not Clemson, but they're not a shocking pick.
SEC. Who's in the SEC? Who's Tennessee?
Mississippi State,
After last year, no, I don't. I think that program has way too far to come
South
because
Carolina.
they've lost Michael Van Buren, haven't they? Miss State,
Yeah.
or they've lost Van Buren because he's gone to LSU, hasn't he, to back up Nussmeier? If they'd have kept him, maybe. But I'm not so sure.
South
Who else
Carolina.
could be? Yes, all right,
What
South
talent?
Carolina, South Carolina. So Florida, South Carolina, Arizona State. Got a couple from the SEC there. Is there anyone else from the Big 12 who could be a dark horse who could make a run at it? I mean, they'd all be dark horses. I'd put my Cyclones in there, but they've got to replace Noel and Higgins, which is going to be tough. And there's a couple of defensive additions they need in there as well, but they could maybe.
Let's think of some power fight. Right, we have to look at some G5 scores then.
For a natty, bloody hell. I don't think any of them are ready for a natty. Um,
We'll get into
oh,
let's say the quarter semis.
I mean, dark horse runs there. I mean, UNLV have been rinsed. Boise are intact, apart from Gianti. They got a half decent running back. They are returning a lot of their production. But who else? Oh, we've got three. We need a couple more. We need a couple more teams to push for next year. We'll impress Brett and say Michigan, but I feel like that's not a dark horse candidate. Indiana, could Indiana do it with Mendoza, or have they just lost too much? They've got Mikael Kamara going back, which is big for them. That's one of the best edge rushers in the land.
How the service academy is going to look this year?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, do Army and Navy drop off big this year?
I think Air Force will be good this year because Air Force were young last year. I think Air Force will be much better this year. I think they'll be right challenging up for the Mountain West again. I don't know about Army and Navy. Obviously, Navy have lost the one prospect to the draft. Army have lost their star running back. Is Bryson Daly done? For me, it comes down to him because he is their offense.
Feels like he must be at that. He must be able to go into service now.
Yeah. Um, let me just try and get him on here. Yeah. I think Army will probably drop off. They'll not win. They could, but I think it's unlikely they win the American twice in a row. Just from stats alone, you think some one of those teams is going to get better. Obviously, when we get through to all our conference previews, we'll have a look and see who can challenge them. But maybe Navy can. We still need two more. We still need two more potential dark horses for next year. We just feel like using SEC teams is cheating. Who was on the periphery last year? Who could be really good? I don't think Colorado will be in that conversation.
I mean, what do you think of Notre Dame?
I
It's
mean, is
not
that a dark
the
horse?
QB in it.
I think they could get back there for sure. I think they've got the offensive line. They've got Jeremiah Love. They'll have a steady quarterback. It's just about the defense for them. Can replace enough of those holes. Replacing the two defensive tackles. That's the big thing. So they got one of the best run defenses in the nation, and it started with them two. They can certainly go back. Who else got unceremoniously dumped out? Texas? Texas under Arch. That's another SEC team, but
Yeah, feels like
it feels like a cop out. We need
he's low
some
hanging fruit in the
we
arch.
need some dark horses here. Um, ACC. Is there anyone who can challenge? SMU?
I mean, Darian Mensah at Duke,
Yeah,
and he lift them to ACC contender.
yeah. What about Miller Moss at Louisville? I know Louisville have only got 4 starters coming back on defense, but defense has never been their strong point,
Highly
let's
structured
face it.
job, so I don't see why Miller Moss can't.
I, I think Louisville could potentially be an area because they've always been
They're
a good
always around
team.
there, nine,
Mm,
10 wins territory. They're fighting for that.
yeah, I think we could put Louisville in as a potential dark horse there. And I would just need one more. Just one more. Big 12. Anyone from here going to make a run at it? I guess Kansas State could be classified as one as well, if they're going to be so good this year.
Yeah.
Hmm. I feel like it's better than SI's top 5 list. I feel like at least put some thought into it. I think Florida are right up there in terms of dark horse teams. So, um, oh, Grandizer's in the building. Hope you're doing well, Grandizer. Says
Georgia Tech.
Wes. No, I think
It was
they've
really
lost.
good last year at parts, but
Obviously, they've lost Eric Singleton. They've
turn
lost
in
Haynes,
pause,
the
tight
running
end form.
back. Yeah, so I think they've lost a bit too much. Grandizer's in the building. Hello, Grandizer. Hope you're doing well. Because where's Hank? Hank's probably asleep, so he's asleep for now. A few weeks back, Mike Green was in the front to be drafted to the Lions. This has changed. Which 2025 college prospects have taken his place in the first? Three people we'd pick in front of Mike Green in the first.
Uh, well, I don't have to pick anyone in front of him because he won't be there.
No, he'll still be high.
I think he's
Li
long gone. I think he's long gone by Detroit.
Lions fans are just scared because of the
Whether I think that's right or not. I mean, it depends if I'm thinking of the team who they're looking at. I'd start with Nick Scowen.
yeah, that's one. I'd take Walter Nolan over him, which is
Yeah, I think
two.
Wallen Over is sliding towards the end of the first and a lot of mocks.
I'd take Walter Nolan and I'd take Donovan Aziruwaku
Seen him mock
over
recently, yeah.
him.
Shamar Stewart as well. He's always in that area. And he's someone that frightens people, but it says very boomer bust. But yeah,
Me, I'm
like
terrified.
territory.
Yeah, there are people I'd prefer at that spot. I've got nothing wrong with Mike Green. I think he's a good player. He's a technician, which is what we need. But I'm with you. I think he's gone way too early. I think people, unless something tangible comes out about his behavior, which to this point it has not, then this you
Gray's
can't.
able after the top 30 visit. I think like Gray's
Yeah,
definitely a shout at 28.
I think Gray Zabel coming to Detroit is a good shout, possibly at this moment in time. They do seem to really like him. Probably just doing some final eval on him. These top 30s are just a finisher evaluation, right? And they've probably not had as much chance to see him. So, but I think there's a good chance he gets picked there. But yeah, those are the ones
I
we'd
mean,
probably take.
in recent talks, uh, Olajobi is at the UCLA edge. It sounds like they love him.
I don't. He's got 1 year as a starter at Edge,
Frankly, it
and
terrifies me. But honestly, if they take him at 28, am I shocked? No. Will I be horrified slightly?
I will. I mean, it just annoys me how they're all going after the way they talk now. I'm like, yes, I get it. Brad likes a certain type of player, but eventually you've got to look at the talent on the field and what they can do. And yes, he had 7 sacks this year. He's played 1 year on the edge and it shows. The pass rush arsenal's not there. The pass rush plan isn't there. Like he's another who just bullies his way to the guy that he wants to get. But at the NFL, you've got to be more technically refined. And I'm just not about that right now. I'm not willing to take a punt on that, especially not at 28. When you've got guys like
Fix it.
Aziruaku knocking
Sure.
round,
But everyone's
yeah,
convinced he won't be there.
yeah, I'm not trading up for him, and I'm not trading back for him. I want a premier edge who's experienced there. Like I would take Aziruaku over him every single day of the week. I'd even take Walter Nolan over him. Screw it. Take another D tackle. I don't care. I'd still take that level of production over him. So he does terrify me for sure. If Mike Green is there in the third or fourth, do you take a flyer on him or completely avoid him at all costs? Rounds? No. No. Unless it comes out that these rumors are true, there's no way he's going
Rumors are
down there.
true, though. He probably goes undrafted.
Oh yeah, if the rumors are true, no one will touch him. But that's if he's there in the third or fourth and nothing's proven about him and it's just hearsay, eventually the value gets too much that you keep passing it up. So yeah, but as it stands, he'll be gone before 20, I would say, and that'll be that with him. But I'm saying until anything's proven, I'm not gonna kick him there. Brent's back. Hope you're doing well, Brent. Brent goes, isn't Green an outside linebacker in the NFL? No. I know he's small, but Iziruaku's the same type, and you're not going to play him as an outside linebacker. Or I wouldn't at least anyhow. I think you'd just be sort of wasting him at that spot. So no, I won't be taking him there. Grandaz goes, didn't Mike Green like to partake in a bit of the ultra shenanigans off the field? I mean, that's a way to put it, yes. The ultra shenanigans. But yeah, I don't like to talk about it with players until something's proven. I don't like to go saying this and that about them. I mean, like the smear campaign on James Pierce Jr. is huge. I can't remember a time like this. Like it was said in the comment, it was said in the Discord the other day, mentally unhinged. I'm like, what? I get if he's a hothead, but surely if he's that bad, Tennessee would have kicked him out. Oh no, they've had him on that roster 3 years and he's survived there. And Josh Hoople doesn't seem like one who takes fools. He's gotten rid of program players from the program for worse. So I'm not sure at all. Grandizer goes, what are the rumors? Like the punter from San Diego State, obviously Ariza.
He was cleared. He's back now. Anyway,
Ariza was cleared. He's playing for the
Maxwell
Chiefs
Hairston
now.
was actually properly rumored though. That girl came out and actually put up shots, didn't she? Like save name, like arrest warrants, police reports. He's properly being accused of sexual assault. I've not seen anything come of it, I like say, but yeah, they've been legitimate claims against him.
I just don't know why it waits till before the draft.
Yeah. And I've still seen him going end first.
28.
I've seen him once the Lions, like saying, despite these what looks like bold claims.
It feels like with the signing of Rock Ya-Sin today that the Lions are now out on a cornerback high.
Yeah, I don't see a corner now in the first round.
You've got Rock Ya-Sin and you've got DJ Reed, and then you've got Terrion and Rakestraw learning behind them. And then you've got Amit Robertson, you've got Branch who can play at nickel. This feels like the position to take a day three rookie to sit below them all and work his way up for when Rock Ya-Sin's deal's done. That's how I feel now. Like again, you pick Noel Williams or someone like that at 130. I think that's perfect for us at this moment in time. I'd love to see that. But yeah, with having two vested vets in the room at corner now, we don't need another. I mean, I would love to see Hairston here again, depending on all the stuff that's happened, not done, etc. But especially if you got him at 60, that value would be crazy now. But like you say, he feels fringe first now, and he's not going to get out of there. Especially as the new cornerback deals just came in, 30 million a year for Stingley, right? And I think that's going to push teams up into the first round of the draft to come and get corners because teams ain't going to want to pay that for a corner. And it's just going to get higher when Source's deal is done. I think that is probably, for me, that could be a viable trade-out option. Now, if someone wants Hairston at 28, there you go. Load the cart for him if they want that 5th-year deal, which I think teams should do, right?
Yeah, Azariah Thomas, Trey Amos, guys like Maxwell Hairston, fringe first round corners.
Yeah, I think they'll become in vogue now. Because they say that cornerback market's just going to go up and up, and a team like the Lions, we can't afford one of those. Not with all the bills we've got going forward. Not when we've paid Branch and Kirby. We ain't going to be able to afford to pay a corner as well. So maybe it does push a corner up into our conversation. Who knows? But when you got Terrion and Rakestraw in there, you figure you want to leave that as it is. Brenko's team's making a mountain out of a molehill, trying to make the players they want dropped to them. Slander season is in full effect, unfortunately. I believe there is a slander season. Don't I believe some of this is tactical. You can sort of work off rumors and hearsay. I would not be surprised if teams put stuff out there to try and tank people down to where they are. I don't know about you. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but I think it is part of the dance of the draft as it is.
James Pierce Jr. last year was first overall pick. That's what everyone said.
Well, I said that. I don't know if anyone else did,
I mean,
but
a lot of people said though, top nailed on top five draft pick. Everyone said, like you said, he would be where Abdul Carter is now. And
yeah,
now it's the Lions will pass him at 28 because they don't like him,
yeah. He's had a bit of a down year.
despite
Like,
having a fantastic combine and looking like an Olympic sprinter.
yeah, it feels like there is a concerted effort. Like, if someone picks him up at the start of the second round, they're laughing all the way to the bank. It's like, wow, we got him with our second round pick. We'd have probably spent a first on him. It does feel like there's lots of shenanigans and stuff out there, and all this goes on, but I'm still going to refuse to believe that Pierce has an issue, like a serious issue, until it's proven otherwise. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And if we draft him, I would love it, personally. I think he'd fit really well here. Um, duh, duh, duh. Grandizer goes, question, will Road Lions UK give the fans what they want in Mock Draft Monday, a 10 to 20 minute vid using your mock draft simulator of choice with brief reasons why you are drafting that prospect? I mean, we can do a mock draft Monday. We did our mock drafts on here last week, me and Rye, so we gave you our official ones. You can go back and check that out as well, but I'm sure we can do some mock draft Monday simulators. We will run out of ideas for shows coming up towards the draft. We've still got 5 or 6 shows for each of them to flesh out. So if you want that, we'll do it for you. You know we will. We will give the fans what they want, Grandizer. Don't you worry. Right, at the minute, I think Matt has switched off or something, so we're just kind of hanging around here right now and just chatting all sorts. So if there's you ever want to, we've just been followed by NFL rumors on Twitter. You know, the massive fan account. I don't know why.
Couple of like 100,000 followers.
They've got 365,000 followers. I know they follow 65,000 people, but it seems odd that we're on there. I feel like I've only done nothing but criticize them before,
They
so.
chat, they just chat a lot of shit though, don't they? They always use that, oh, Bovada gambling makes this player this team favorite. Like not one of those trades ever came through.
No, absolutely not. Oh dear. So yeah, get your questions in. Keep us going, because yeah, I don't know when Matt's going to be back. I hope he's not going to sleep. Otherwise, this is going to be the longest stream that we've done in Roar of the Lions UK history. In fact, Grandizer, while you're here, Grandizer, I'm gonna question you, because we've got the NFL Draft Extraordinaire shows coming up. We're gonna do the draft weekend as we always do, and we've started our planning for it. And you are really good with finding content creators for us to collab with, and we're missing some teams. So we've so far got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We got 15 teams confirmed for our shows. So 15 of the 31, we're about halfway there. But there's some content creators we don't have people for. So, Grandizer, if you know anyone from the Bills, the Bengals, the Packers, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Patriots, or the Jets, then let us know, because we need some people for those, and we need to get it sorted soon. We're trying to get other guests on as well, but it's gonna be good. We're gonna be live all 3 days of the draft this year again. Obviously, we had the year off last year because Matt and Ash were in Detroit at the draft themselves, but it's in Green Bay this year, so we're going to go back to our regular format, which is going to be fun. Grandizer goes, Ant and Ryan, you still have your top 10 2025 prospects in each position. We've done our prospect review show, I believe. Did we not?
Five.
We did so a couple of weeks ago, Grandizer, we did top fives. So Ryan did top five in the draft. I did top five fits for the Lions. So if you go back a couple of weeks, you'll find that show. I believe I called it High Five or something like that, but pretty sure we did it 2 weeks ago. But we can do a short with it, maybe. I mean, I'm just at the point now where I'm finalizing my list of prospects and where I've ranked them. We're about at that point now, so we can certainly do something in regards to that. So yeah, yeah, we'll do our lists. Don't you worry about it. God, really having to drag this out here. Where on earth is he? He's probably asleep. Let's just message him again and see where he's at. Obviously not watching. Let's try and get into some other bits. So yeah, Grandos, if you do know any creators from the Bills, the Bengals, the Packers, the Chargers, oh, and the Rams as well, the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Patriots, and the Jets, we will be much appreciated, and we will get in touch with them. But we got some good guests coming on, some that we've already worked with before, thanks to you, so we appreciate that. The Seahawks guy never gets back to us, by the way, Brandon Kane. We've messaged him 3 times now, so if you're ever on his again, Grandizer, let him know we're trying to get in touch, because we would prefer to use him for that. We do like to use British podcasts for this, but there's just a lot of them we can't get good ones for at the minute, so we're open to abroad options now. Brent goes, FYI, Anthony, Ricky White video was great, but I had a hard time seeing the clips properly on my laptop. Had to rewatch it on the 55-inch. Might want to enhance it a bit for us blind people. Okay, thanks for letting me know, Brent. I will try and do that. Oh, so my Zero Arc one might be the same, but I'll have a look going forward. It's just a pain trying to get my screen share and do it full. I thought it would work right, so I will bear with me. I will sort that problem, but I'm going to have a lot more prospect videos coming out in weeks to come, so I shall try and fix that issue for you. But I hope you enjoyed it. He's a hell of a good player, Ricky White is, and I hope that the Lions do draft him, because he's the exact kind of player that we need. Any other news that's come out this week that we can have a chat about? Oh, I did see with the EA Sports, they've already had to up their
Yeah,
compensation
because everyone
packages
opted out last
for
year,
the
didn't
athletes. So $500 last year if you were an athlete and a copy of the game. It's now gone up to $1,500 and a copy of the game. That feels like, I mean, I think the sales did stupid numbers for that game. So if they carry on doing the same, it's probably going to keep going up and up and up. But 1,500 and a copy of the game, it's not bad for a start.
you? Yeah. A lot of players last year opted out though, so they had loads of teams that had players that were neutral. Just they couldn't use them, they wouldn't let them. So
Uh,
yeah, it, I'd take that.
oh, I would as
Won't even
well.
argue it. I know some of them will argue it, like cough cough Arch Manning, someone like that. He ain't gonna do it for 1,500.
Oh, Arch will be selling his
The
rights for
agent will
millions,
probably
won't
tell
he?
him like this agent right now, you probably want double that, but you can't have me.
Oh, Arch is going to be such an interesting case study this year. Like people saying, "Oh, he might be in next year's draft." Like, there's no way he's going to come. Like, he's not going to come up after 1 year starting, right? Because I know technically he's a redshirt junior this year, right?
Yeah.
At 2 years,
Well,
so he could
he
technically.
will technically be eligible.
Do you think? All right, let's hypothetically say he has a good season. Do you reckon he will? Because the top level of quarterback next year at the minute is like Nussmeier and Aller and maybe Mateer if he has a good year. He
I
might
mean,
fancy his chances.
on the face of it, probably should,
Hmm.
but he'd have to have a
I,
really good year.
I mean, I think it would suck if you were a Texas fan that you've waited 2 years for him
But also, yeah, it would leave the Longhorns in a crap position.
and then he's gone in a year.
Yeah.
You would like to think he'd stay for two, but I don't know if he's. And I guess it depends what team's at the top of the draft.
Well, yeah, like say who's
If
probably a
the
good chance for him to see who's bad.
if one of his uncle's teams is up there, if one of the if the Giants are up there again and they don't have a quarterback this year or whatever, might go and try and replicate Uncle Eli's success there. I just don't think we've seen anywhere near enough of him to say he's a surefire thing. Like people already think round one prospect, no chance. Like we've not seen enough of him, right?
No, that's just because of who he is.
Hmm. Yeah, that's just name alone. Oh, what else have we got going through that we can chat about for now? I don't think. Uh, Here we go. Let's have a look at this. Right, we'll just quickly do this while waiting. Hopefully, be here soon. So, NFL.com, they've done their running back rankings for this draft. We're talking about top five. So their top five they've got here in terms of who they think are going to be. So they've got four guys they reckon are going to be day one starters in the NFL. Ashton Jonty's, of course, number one. Then it's Travion Henderson. Then it's Cam Scatterboo. And then it's Quinshon Judkins. And that's it in terms of starting running backs. I feel like that list is a
Oh,
little bit
no, Hampton.
disingenuous. No Omarion Hampton on there. There's no DJ Giddens on there. There's no Bishal Tootin on there. Um, I think that's a little bit disingenuous, personally.
I
I
feel like
think
if you're
more
drafting
could
a
be
Marion
like,
Hampton, it's a team that doesn't have a starting running back.
I would as well. Like if Jonty goes at
6 foot
six,
220, like he's a lead back.
like I think if Jonty goes to the Raiders at six, like a team like the Bears would take Hampton at 10 because he's the next best thing you're gonna get. Not gonna take Travion Henderson at
Yeah, I don't think
10.
for me, like say Scatterbo, he's not. I don't think he's a starting running back in his rookie year. I think he's a number two.
Depends where he goes. I mean, could he stay home in Arizona? Do Arizona need a running back this year? I feel like they do.
I mean, he'll back up James Conner.
Hmm.
But eventually he could replace him, yeah.
And James Conner's prone to getting hurt as well, so he could do. But
See,
John,
49ers have just dealt Jordan Mason. I feel like the 49ers would be
oh,
a team to watch. Sitting behind CMC. Let
that
him
would
learn from
be
him.
CMC and Scat could be one of the best running back pairings in the NFL like that.
Good old line got Kyle Shanahan's running scheme. So that's probably a good place for him to go.
Hmm. So they're saying that he's a really day one starter, potentially not day one in the draft, but he could go quite high. System backs they've got next. They've got DJ Giddens at five, RJ Harvey at six, then Amarian Hampton at seven. Like he's way down the list. Then you got Trevor Etienne at eight, Bishal Tootin at nine, Jaquavius Marks at 10. I feel like he's way too overvalued in this class.
I've never seen enough from Trevor Etienne to say NFL back.
No, not certainly high-end rotational back in front of some of these guys. I mean, Rocket Sanders is 11. I think Rocket could be. LaQuint Allen, the Syracuse running back, is at 12. Montrell Johnson's at 13. Caleb Johnson's at 14, the Iowa running back.
Yeah, I
Devin
see him
Neal.
in top five lists all the time, Caleb Johnson.
I
And I've seen
again,
everything. He for 6'1", 220, home run speed. Like
mm,
say, got vertical, like say he's got that extra gear.
exactly. He could be a lead runner. I think
Everything you want at the next level.
all of these guys could be in their own right. Devin Neal's 15. Brashard Smith is 16. Marcus Yarns is at 17, the Delaware running back. He has just gotten better and better and better. And in this class, we said, like when we did the list, he could be buried right at the bottom and still be great. He's pushing his way up lists. I think he's going to go shockingly high. I think a lot of teams like it. The Lions went to watch his pro day. Like he could end up as a Lion at some point.
Yeah, I might say running back 17 sounds far down, but that could be round five.
Yeah,
That doesn't, like I said, that all those backs before him could be gone within 4 or 5 rounds.
yeah. Um, oh, hang on, we've got a few questions in here. Sorry, I've been missing this. Brent goes, is it true that Hutch has been cleared for full contact? I don't believe so. I
Uh,
could be
Doubt
wrong.
it. He's only
I
just running.
yeah, I think it's for running exercise and for
I think
doing
he's
like a lot
sprinting
of
and jogging now and running.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't think
think
he won't be padded up for months.
no, and I don't think they'll pad him up. Like if you're anything, you'll pad him in cotton wool for as long as you can before you have to start using him there. Carlton goes, Ant/Ryan, does age of drafted players shape your valuation of picking them?
It depends
Ooh.
on the position.
Okay, I'll let you explain further.
Offensive line doesn't bother me in the slightest. Frankly, the older you are and the more you've played, better. Running back, I want as much out of you as I can on your rookie deal. Like I say, so I prefer young guys. Like I say, corner, it's one of those where if you stay in college longer, you come out older. That's fine. Usually a bit more polished. Like I say, a lot of guys, but yeah, tight ends they can be older for me. That's fine. Like I say, I don't mind you coming out and using all a lot of guy tight ends stay in college longer and longer. That's fine as long as you learn how to block. I don't mind.
Quarterbacks? I mean, it's a question we've not had to ponder in Detroit for years because of staff then trading for golf, but does age matter with a quarterback?
I mean, when I look at the recent string of really young quarterbacks, have many succeeded? I don't think so.
No.
Who was the last really young quarterback?
That succeeded.
Purdy
Oh,
was what, 22? Purdy was a older guy, wasn't it?
Purdy was older, and
Yeah,
Purdy
Purdy.
had played a lot of football for Iowa
Yeah.
State. Obviously, Anthony Richardson was a lot younger.
Stroud was had a couple of years, didn't he?
Yeah, Stroud had 2 years. I don't think anyone who's had 1 year as a starter has really done that well, and they've advised against that now. Like a lot of agents are saying, don't come to the NFL till you've had 2 years. So I don't think we'll see many of them again, to be fair.
Wide receiver, I don't care. You can be as young as you want. That does not bother me. If you've got it, you've got it.
Yeah, like we're going to see Jeremiah Smith in the draft next year.
Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams will be in
Oh,
the
sorry.
draft
They'll
by
be
the
in
time
the
they're 20 and a half, 20 and a half.
they'll be in the 2027 draft, which will be their junior years.
Yeah.
Like next year is their last year in college after this one. So yeah, neither of them's going to play in there any longer than they have to. I'm saying, I think in terms of age of prospects, I don't think it always bothers me because again, you look at the lifespan of a college player and how they play. Like you're lucky if you get 4 or 5 years out of a lot of guys anyhow. So even if he's 25, 26, you have him till he's 31. I just like good players. I think I've just come to appreciate that. It doesn't matter whether they're older, whether they're younger. I am with Rye. Some of it is a little bit positionally based, but for the most part, I do like my DBs older because I feel like it's such a hard thing. I feel like you need to be as experienced as possible as a DB. I don't like raw DBs.
Kickers as well. I like kickers that have kicked a lot of footballs.
Yeah, like special teams, you don't mind being older. Like these older Aussies that are coming across and stuff like that. And again, the life of a kicker, you can get another one. I don't mind that, but no, I try not to let age be a factor. I think for me, it's pure talent. If you're a talented football player, I think I'll like you regardless of your age, and I would pick you wherever. I feel like Brad thinks the same as well. He's in that I want to pick talented football players, and age doesn't bother me. Obviously, it's good to get him younger, but at the same point, if you get him too young, they're going to get 2, 3 major contracts out of you. And they're going to cost a lot more than an older prospect will. An older prospect might just get 2 contracts or one if he's lucky. If he's a 24-year-old prospect, spends 5 years on a rookie contract and a year on a tag or something, he's nearly 30 before he gets his first deal, and that'd be the only deal you give him. But it's an interesting question. So yeah, yours is positionally based. Mine, I'm not as fussed by. So, but yeah, I do appreciate the question there. Grandizer goes, Ant and Ryan, you both have your darling of the draft. Who is that player? Has that changed after the bowl games and combine? If so, who took that prospect place? Who's your draft darling? I feel like I don't know who your like proper draft darling is.
It depends on the definition of darling. If it's a player I love,
Just player you love. Like it doesn't have to be matter for a Lions prospect, but who is your favorite player just in terms of watching them play the game and what you like about them?
I love Nicky Manwari. And I just feel like he's more than a safety. I just feel like someone is gonna get an absolute like diamond. And he's one of those players like I'd be willing to live with the flack of taking him at 28 if I was the GM. Even though when the grades come out and everyone said, "Oh, that's an F minus F move," it's a terrible decision. I'd be fine. Because like I say, when he goes on to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, then jokes on them.
You know what? I thought for
I
a
also
second.
love, but I love Andrew Makuba.
Oh yeah,
I would
yeah, I'm with you.
love to bring him in because he is what we need. We need a third safety. He plays the game the right way. He's played it to the highest level at two big schools, and still No one talks about him before like end of round two, round three. I don't know why.
No, I don't either. We were saying this on the safety program. There's like so many of them who disrespected, and I think he's tremendous. I would love him here as well. I think he'd be great, especially for the value you get him at if he's at where he's predicted to go, which is insanely low. I thought for a second you were going to say Jackson Dart, but I guess that would be out the quarterbacks. He'd be your favorite QB. You've seen he's risen to three in some mock drafts now. People think he's going to be right up there. You
Also,
told
tight
us.
ends. Tight ends were my favorite groups this year. I kind of love loads of them,
Hmm,
and I know they'll be nowhere near what we need, but won't stop me taking one.
no. I think Ricky White is definitely my draft crush this year. I'm pretty sure of that. And this goes back, this was like he's like because Puka was a couple of years ago. I just love running backs. I love wide receivers who don't mind blocking the hell out of people and but they're also dynamic playmakers. Like he's the same. He's going to get well under draft. I'd pick him in the second round if I could. I'd quite happily do it. He's not going to, but I think he's going to far surpass the value you get for him. So Ricky White is he's probably the draft crush this year. But there's quite a few. Tyler Batty was a late runner for it. Um, Walter Nolan was a late run for it as well. I do love Walter Nolan quite a lot. So yeah, they'd be the ones there. God, as it goes, the selfish fan in me, I could get a top 10 college prospect list per position. However, with most categories, we'll see what we can do for you there. We can put the DBs into groups and that for you. So absolutely, we'll have a look at doing that for you. We did top tens for, I think we did interior offensive line, or top fives for interior and then tackles as well. Brent goes safety round 3 to 5. I think you just answered that one there. Yeah, I'd take Makuba in that range. I'd take who was the other
Jonas
one?
Sanka.
Jonas
I
Sanka.
like him as well. He's a really good pro. He's like say top five, six safety.
Yeah, you'd take Jonas Sanka in that area. Who else would you take in there? It was Sebastian Castro.
Astro.
I'd take him in that. I mean, he might be around two pick, but
What Justin Wally. I think he might be a
the
safety at
Minnesota,
Minnesota. You
the
call him a bit of
Minnesota
a cover
DB.
safety.
Yeah, I think he's a hybrid,
Nathan
isn't he?
Ransom. He's probably my nailed on. Like I took him in my mock draft.
Yeah,
Round 3, 4, 5. He's a nailed on because he's a strong safety that tackles.
yeah, absolutely. Grandad says Lions under Campbell and Holmes have become a fill in the blank factory. Safeties, Lions are killing it with that position. What have we become under Holmes and Brad? What position should we be known for under Dan and Brad? That's an interesting question, actually. Like, we're not OLU. I guess we have most of our
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
here
yeah.
already. I'd say linebacker U. We're
Yes,
becoming
they've added Barnes, Anzalone, Campbell,
Rodrigo.
Rodrigo,
I'd say we've
and
become well
Nyman.
known.
None of them
Yeah,
were here before any of them came.
no, I think we've become known for our linebackers for sure. Safeties, oh yeah, Kirby and Branch. Neither are a first round pick. I know they're round
Alec
two and round
Baldwin.
three.
They've added all of them, even though he's gone. They added them all.
Yeah. So we've become known for safety. They just seem to have a very good feel for temperament. I don't think it's position you. I think it's I don't know how to say this, mental you. And by that, they mentally find the right players who fit their scheme better than anyone I've ever known in my life. Like, just they seem to have it to a T. They've got the grit character to them. Yeah, we'll call it grit you. They find their grit players who fit their system that play here. They just find the right system rather than the right position per se. I think that will be what we become. We've become the grit factory. Our players play harder than everybody else does. Brent goes in terms of draft needs edge, DT, OL, wide receiver. I'd probably go with that. Take a defensive line player first, an offensive line player second, and a wide receiver third. I could see us doing that. I
Something like
think
that.
I think we should put 60 into the offensive line personally. If Milam's there, if someone there's like that, I'd put them in.
Wyatt Milam, Jonah, Savannah, some,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'd absolutely put them in
guard. It's going to
there.
be a guard slash center. It'll probably be a tweener.
Yeah, Bell, but that'd be 28. But I still think that if they go, certainly if they go O line at 28, they'll go D line at 60. Be one or the other. And then they could do receiver afterwards. Who knows? We need someone to place behind Patrick, so absolutely I'd do that. Grandizer goes, Ant and Ryan, I know where to, oh, I'm gone. I know where to get some Lions content creators for your draft stream. Some blokes from Europe. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. Us for our own draft stream. That would be fun. Carlton goes, I think Manu and Sewell are the same age. Not sure. Are they? That would be Sewell's dead young.
Sewell was very young. Sewell was only 21 and a half, I think, when he came out. I think Manu, yeah, I don't think he's not played much football.
Yeah. See, that's another, you go back to the
He's
argument of
played a lot
age
of
for
college football in Canada.
you go back for age of trench players, I guess. Is it better to get them up to the NFL quicker so that they don't learn bad habits in college? Or, I mean, I think Sewell was just a freak, right?
Yeah.
Sewells don't come along every year. Like,
The quicker they come out of high school.
yeah,
Also, if they start as freshmen, usually, you know they're the good ones.
they're the real deal. Yeah, you get them right
You
away.
start at left or right tackle as a freshman and then play for your whole career. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, you're probably going pretty well in the draft.
yeah. Like, I think there's going to be in 12 months' time, sorry, next season, in the 2026 season, there will be a clamour for someone like Jordan Seaton, who has started since day one as a freshman. High five star. He'll have done well at Colorado. People will be all over for him. Oh, Matt's messaged. Well, we've got a few questions to go through, so we'll get through there. Grandizer goes, right, draft darling, a player that you just love regardless of which round and if he's connected to the. Yeah, that's what we did. Those are the players we love. Ricky
Mason
White.
Taylor.
Mason Taylor.
He's my offensive darling.
Yeah, I think he's a lot of players' offensive darling now.
It won't
Shot up.
surprise me if he's a better rookie than someone like Tyler Warren.
Where is he? Like, I don't know where he is draft-wise in that. I feel like he's a top 50 player now. And I think he could potentially go in the top 50. Even though his production may not have warranted it, but it seems that people are just in love with the body and the RAS and the stuff like that.
Yeah, this tight end class is incredibly hard to gauge.
Yeah.
Austin Loveland is on a pedestal, and then I'm not sure about the rest.
No, no, I agree. I think Aronde should be higher, but he is what he is. Grandizer goes, Andrew Makuba, yes, absolutely. Brent goes, am I wrong in thinking that watching the Ricky White video that I was watching a larger version of our Sun God? I think he's the same height. He's only six. What's Amon Ra in height? Is he 6 foot, six
Six,
one?
six in the book, yeah.
I think they're the same height and they may be the same weight. I think you're just looking at a guy who plays on the outside a bit more, but I think that's probably why I like him. There are shades of Amon Ra about him for sure. I think he's maybe got a bit more finesse in his pass catching than Amon Ra has, but I think Amon Ra is a better blocker, but he's a better blocker than pretty much every wide receiver going. But I would certainly that is one to take away. He is like him. Grandizer says Jonas Sanka. Yeah, we mentioned him for Virginia. He's good. Ant and Ryan. I was under the impression slot corner. Lions took Chase Lucas and he got paid via free agency. He got coached up. I think he was with the 49ers. I don't know where Chase. Yeah, you're right. It is. He suffered from being low on our depth charts. We had a load of corners in at the
He
time,
was just a special team here.
and he was older, which I think worked to get. If he'd have been a year or two younger,
He
they'd
was
probably
like
kept him round.
23, nearly 24 as just a rookie.
Yeah, that was the trouble. Candaza goes, maybe a late day three safety for the Lions, Ray Lane from Navy. I
Yeah,
think
a lot of
he's
people like him. He's only 5'11", but yeah, production, he's tough as well.
he is. I think he's definitely in that category. Smaller guys, it's all about small guys. Upton Stout's 5'7". He'll get drafted. Like, I think the stigma over smaller players is vanishing. And he goes, Antony and Ryan, right, there are usually a few darlings that the media and fans love. Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterboo, Jack Beck. I feel like Jack Beck's name's gone into obscurity now. Everyone's had their fun with him, and then they've just, like, when did you hear his name last mentioned? I'm not.
No, it's been a couple of weeks.
This is why I don't like these fad things. Everybody, like, was bigging him up and, oh, he's the best thing, and then they've all just forgot about him. The thing with guys I like is we like them for years, and we unequivocally, unashamedly stay fans of theirs. So, like Ricky White's, I've loved for years and years and years at this point. So, anywho. I think that is about it. Matt is with us now, so we're going to bring this one down to a close. Appreciate all of you who've been with us here this evening. And say we've gone through we're at the very early stages of spring training now, so we're not being able to go as in depth as we will later on. But I just wanted to give you an update on some of the bigger situations at some of the bigger colleges, some of the stories that have come out there, some of the QB battles, etc. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and then we've done some questions at the end on the draft. But yeah. We'll be in full draft mode going forward now. We'll probably be all draft shows. As I say, we're going to be back next week. We're going to do our mock draft simulator challenge potentially, so that'll be fun. Hope you can come and join us for that. See how if we can beat the simulator again, and then say the main podcast will be back Monday doing defensive tackle prospects. We appreciate you all. Have a lovely evening. Thanks ever so much, Rye, as usual. We shall be back next week. It just remains for me to say thank you. One pride.
Recording stopped.